Xian sees a monster in the middle of the snowy plain. He is surprised. The monster's eyes glow blue in the snowy swirl. Snow swirls around the ice block, the ice shimmering in the cold shine. Before him is the lord of the snowy plains. In his presence, there is a sense of ancient mystery and hidden threat. Human figures are hidden in a snowstorm. The commander stands nearby, his figure like a shadow against the backdrop of the white desert. The realization dawns on the young man. This is the sorcerer Bayless. Half a day ago, the sun brightly illuminated the high-rise buildings and busy streets of the city. The mobile phone screen lights up in Shu's hands, and a message from his boss appears. The young man peers at the text in bewilderment, his eyebrows raised in surprise. The boss ordered several copies of the photo to be printed. A strange GIF is attached to the letter. Xian is annoyed. Anger is boiling inside him. This is a GIF? He calls his boss an idiot. He realizes that he will still be ordered to overcome difficulties. Can't he just leave the printer alone? Xiai with force, blood running down his head. Xian is in damn pain. Who is it that left him wondering? Pain shoots through his body. He staggers, and the crowd of people turns their heads. The young man lies on the ground, motionless and bloody, and anxious cries can be heard nearby. People are dialing the ambulance number in panic, and words of sympathy are in the air. Xiai seems too young for this. His body remains motionless on the cold asphalt. The thought floats through his mind. Throwing objects from a height is a crime. Space and time are distorted. Reality takes Xiai to other distances. A space-time rift occurs. In space, he floats among the stars, his mobile phone spinning nearby. A golden icon is flashing on the phone screen. The charge is dropping to the last 5%. In the darkness, there is a feeling of someone else's presence. The voice of the proofreader sounds nearby. Xian wonders whose voice it is. Xian's consciousness fades. It's all over. But fiery flashes and strange patterns flash before his eyes. A mysterious space cat emerges from the portal, his gaze cold and piercing. The rift grows larger and glows with purple light. The beast is interested in the portal. Xianya floats in the void. The beast comes out of the portal, looking around. The creature touches the mobile screen. The installation begins, and Jay's face is reflected in the eyes. The beast approaches Zhao, but he is unconsciously floating in space. The rift in space remains open. Waves of energy fill the starry sky. Spiritual stars flare up all around. The world trembles from the growing power. The beast is surprised by what is happening. Waves of energy envelop them, pulling them into the unknown. Snow whirlwinds cover the mountain peaks. White expanses stretch beyond the horizon. A rift opens in the sky, a thin crack pulsating with purple light. The rift widens, the space humming and distorting under the pressure of energy. From the shining crack, Xiao's figure bursts forth and falls through the freezing air. It falls onto the blanket of snow, sparks of purple light fading around it. In the center of the plains stands a disaster relief headquarters, the building shrouded in snow. Inside, behind a multitude of screens, a man watches what is happening with concentration. On one of the screens, the outline of a strange monster appears among the snow. In the northern part of the plains, a strong distortion of space is recorded. Energy fluctuations are rapidly increasing. Devices are flashing with an alarming light. The other world has appeared. The instability level exceeds the A-class indicators. The system signals a threat. The man continues to peer at the screen. His face remains cold and collected. Commander Zuo receives the message. He gives the order to immediately move a combat team to the location of the energy fluctuations. The wind raises snow whirlwinds, and Xiao lies motionless among the snowdrifts. Animals gather around him, their footsteps becoming louder. The hungry inhabitants of the snow cover cautiously approach the motionless body, their blue eyes flickering with the mysterious light, reflecting the radiance of the snowy plain. The space beast leans closer, its gaze piercing the prone Xiao. Huskies stop nearby and warily sniff the body in the snow. The beast's eyes reflect the figures of the huskies, their silhouettes, their gaze. The huskies take a step back, their faces expressing surprise and alarm. The transformation begins. The beast becomes distorted. Its body changes shape. In front of the stunned dogs, he completely assumes the appearance of a husky. The other huskies growl and bark furiously, their eyes flashing red. They surround the werewolf, malice flaring in their eyes. The beast in the form of a husky sits down next to Xiao, as if guarding him in the snow. The husky walks away, the snowstorm covering the tracks of its paws in the snow. A long furrow from the paws remains on the white cover, melting in the wind. Commander Zhu peers out over the desert plains, ordering a check of the surrounding area. In the distance, a group of rescuers can be seen making their way through a snowstorm. The husky returns with another dog, heading towards the body in the snow. Shu lies down. Next to him stands a husky, its blue eyes sparkling. A rescuer appears on the scene, his silhouette visible among the snow whirlwinds. The commander points to the man. The rescuers bend down, checking his condition. One of them feels his pulse. Relief appears on his face. Deep wounds are visible on the young man's body, but he is still breathing. An injection is given into his arm, and the medicine slowly spreads through his veins. The rescuer notes that the young man should soon wake up from the shock. His rescue in such a place seems incredible, like a miracle. The centipedes that inhabit these lands could have destroyed him. The tracks show that the snow wolf protected the young man from attack. Husky sits next to him. Xiao slowly opens his eyes. His body aches. His head feels heavy. He looks at the snowy sky and tries to figure out where he is. Images of family and friends, the past, come to mind. Memories of his parents, his childhood, and his encounter with centipedes come flooding back. The images change quickly, as if his memory itself were transporting him through time. His thoughts return to recent events, to the street where everything has changed. Xiao clutches his head. Pain shoots through his temples. Memories flash and fade. His mind is full of blurry pictures. He doubts if they really belong to him. All around there are endless snowy plains, cold skies, and howling wind. Xiao closes his eyes, shock and confusion mixing with the new awareness that has transported him. A feeling arises in his chest, as if the moment has come to show his strength. He shouts, asking where the cheats are, where the unprecedented power is. The rescuers exchange glances, their gazes filled with doubt and irony. One notes that the young man does not look very smart. The other suspects brain damage. The result of the scan of the identity of the person found appears on the tablet screen. Name, Shu Tian. Age, 18. Gender, male. Residence, northern border city of Yunyao. The file states that he is an orphan of a fallen hero and a future freshman at Bingyu An College. It is also noted that he is a talented student of a prestigious school, recommended for protection. Captain Zhu looks at the screen and decides to protect this young man. With the appearance of Xian, all the victims of the Beast Rebellion were identified. It is noted that the rescue mission was carried out flawlessly and on time. The commander is deep in thought, his gaze focused like the guy who survived the centipede. Suddenly, Xian's attention switches to the horizon, where something frightening appears. The commander explains this to the Lord of the Snowy Plains. In the white snow, one can see the frozen figure of the ancient sorcerer Bayless. The captain reassures them, there is no need to worry. He must not be able to attack them. Captain Zhu remains calm, believing that there is no danger for now. It is decided to bring Shu Tian back to the city, keeping him alive and safe. Xiao feels uneasy inside, but the thought of reincarnation flickers in his heart. Deep down, he doubts whether he can really die so easily. After a while, Xiao finds himself in a building, his body bandaged, his movements difficult. He sits down on a chair, feeling the pain echo in every cell of his body. The thought still smolders inside. This is too real to be a dream. He holds a wallet in his hands, his fingers slowly opening its contents. Inside is a Bingyuan University student ID card with his name on it. Xiao squints at the photo, thinking that he is in another world. Memories say that this university is among the best schools in the north. The TV screen is filled with news feeds, warning residents that an otherworldly world has been discovered in the northern snowy plains. Monstrous beasts in the form of centipedes burst forth from the rift, wreaking havoc. Their attacks were repelled by the night wanderers patrolling the area. The news clarifies, the situation is under control, but the danger has not yet passed. Citizens are advised not to approach the northern regions until the reconnaissance is completed. Chief Daywalker Tsio Chini appears at the entrance to the rift. Xiao recognizes the monster he saw during the day. There is a man on it. It is the beast sorcerer Bylus. He studies the screen, recalling the memories he received about the rules of this world. There is a profession called spirit manager. People make contracts with animal spirits. The managers conduct combat operations, reconnaissance, and can use spirits in battles. Xiu knows he hasn't become a spirit manager yet, but the thought of it excites him. The system's voice confirms the status of the proofreader, surprising Xiao with its sudden appearance. He looks at the husky next to him. He thinks that it is his voice, and he feels the beast has become a spirit, capable of new actions. Xiao realizes that animals are now prohibited from turning into personal spirits. The phone in his pocket falls to the floor. Then Xiao picks it up, the charge quickly rising to 99%. The screen shows a familiar device, but with changes he didn't expect. The system finishes loading, new messages and instructions appear on the display. Information appears. Owner, Shu Tian, race, human, status, corrector. A message appears on the screen about receiving the passive skill, animal language, for communicating with spirits. The new active skill, Golden Hands, allows you to develop the abilities of a spirit beast through contact. The system issued a task for a newbie. Become a spirit manager and conclude contract number 01. The reward for completing it is opening the camera's system function. Xiai smiles, his eyes lighting up, excitement shining in his gaze. Xiao carefully studies the new data, preparing for further events in this world. He understands that now he has the ability to influence the world. Like a cheat in a new game, he wants to become the kami of the new world. Xiai leans over to Husky, looking at him and thinking about the traditional art of skill. The thought flashes, if you pet the beast, you can develop its strength and become a controlling spirit. Husky looks at him with surprise, not understanding what is happening. Xiai grabs Husky in his arms and evaluates the world around him. Everything seems different, unusual. A message pops up on the screen. Congratulations! You have become a new spirit controller. The camera is unlocked. Xiai looks at his hands and is surprised. It seems that nothing has changed outwardly. The husky is upset, sitting on the floor, her eyes expressing bewilderment and slight resentment. A new system message appears on the screen with information about the owner. Shu Tian. Status. Corrector. Rank. Newbie. Position. Spirit Manager. Displays the first star and data of the contracted spirit beast. Snow Wolf. Pseudo. Spiritual power. 100 out of 100. Existing skills. Beast tongue. Golden hands. Camera. Xiao studies the screen carefully, noticing changes in the system panel. Xiaoyi smiles and prepares to use the new skill, exploring the possibilities of controlling spirit beasts. Deciding to test the new camera function, he presses the corresponding button. The flash illuminates the mobile. The room is filled with white light for a moment. Shu looks at Husky and sees a completely different beast. The Void Beast. The thought flashed. So it was him then. Surprise is reflected in the eyes. In the memories, everything is clear. To conclude a contract, the approval of the spirit beast is necessary. Xiao realizes that the connection with Husky was an important part of gaining control over the spirit. Xiao is surprised. The contract was made without any obstacles. How this happened, he does not understand. The husky lets out a loud ouch ouch sound that echoes throughout the room. Xiao asks him not to shout so loudly so as not to disturb the people around him. The interruption spell is activated. Xiao gently hits him on the head. He thinks, the beast did not resist, so somehow it followed him into the world. Xiao understands that Husky does not know how to return home, but trusted the contract. He realizes the power of animal language. Now he understands dog thoughts. Husky makes woo-oh again. Xiao understands every sound and emotion. Xiao accepts responsibility for the beast, given the new contract and the situation. The husky licks Xiao, showing trust and affection. Xiao smiles, feeling a strong connection with the spirit beast and new possibilities. Xiao hugs Husky, enjoying her warmth and soft fur. The thought of trying the skill Golden Hands comes to mind. The classification of spiritual beasts comes to mind: inferior, ordinary, good, excellent, superior. It is equivalent to human IQ and affects the ability and potential of the spirit beast. Xiao understands that the skill can be used to enhance the natural abilities of contracted beasts. He is surprised. Husky has excellent natural characteristics. Her origin is unusual. Xiao strokes Husky, noticing how pleasant her fur is to the touch. Xian's spiritual power is displayed, 0 to 100. Xiao feels tired. His body gives way. He falls to the floor. The husky is surprised and starts barking loudly. Ow! Woof! In response to his owner. A crack appears in the sky. A glowing hole leads to the other world. Huge monsters emerge from the crack, and a rider sits on one of them. He feels that something unknown is being born in the depths of the other world. The rider sits calmly on the monster, watching what is happening and immersed in thought. Deep in the other world, a monster appears and swarms. Its presence is felt. The rider smiles, as if anticipating the events that are about to unfold. A new quest appears. Leveling up a contracted spirit beast. Objective: raise the beast to the normal level of the 2nd star. Quest reward: unlocks the skill Rapid Acquisition. The skill allows the beast to gain more experience after each battle. Contract beast, Snow Plains. Wolf, Pseudo, normal level, 1 star. Spiritual power, 110 to 110. Joyful mood, excellent natural abilities. Existing skills: Cleaving Claw, Ice Breath, countless transformations. Void Beast, Wolf Form. Origin: Snowy Plains. Evolution materials for leveling up: Space-Time Crystal, Ice Crystal. Xiu stares at the screen, studying Husky's data. Husky is now displayed in the system as an application with a full set of information. Particular attention is paid to the evolution materials for increasing the beast level. Ice Crystal is still available in memories, and the Space-Time Crystal is unknown. Husky's spiritual power has been increased after using the skill Golden Hands. Last night, after using the skill once, Xiao passed out from fatigue. In the end, he was only able to increase Husky's spiritual power limit by 10 points. Suddenly, Yunyao appears next to her, looks at Xiao's screen, curiosity shining in the girl's eyes. Xiao nervously waves his hand, trying to hide the screen, shouting that he's not looking at anything. The girl Yunyao, the daughter of Xian's parents' friends, looks sternly, takes the phone. Her little white fox sits on her shoulder. She studies the screen, surprised, notices Xiao's husky. Yunyao asks if Xiao really got a dog, looking at the app. Xiao sighs, picks up the husky, and shows it to the girl, showing her a real animal. Xiao understands that only he can see special pages of the system due to his status as a proofreader. Yunyao reminds him of the recent otherworldly rift in the snowy plains. Xiao replies that he is fine, although he was slightly injured during the events. He explains that Husky chased away the other wolves of the snowy plains, saving him from danger. Yunyao wonders how Xiao can smile while saying such horrible things. She pets Husky, calling him by name and promising to give him a treat next time. The husky responds with a short "ow," causing Jian to be surprised. Xiao asks if she can take a photo of Yunyao, the fluffy one. She agrees, but checks to see if Xiao has any perverted hobbies. Xian points the camera at the fox. The subject of the photo is the fox of the snowy, starry night. The fox's parameters: normal level, 4 stars. Spiritual power, 240 out of 240. Natural data is excellent. Fox skills: Snow Blast, Star Grasp, powerful snow and ice manipulation abilities. After growing up, Starlight cubs gain abilities close to those of humans and can use the power of the stars. She stares at the screen, studying the photo to understand the Fluffy's skills. Yunyao watches in surprise. Xiao addresses her by showing the screen, pointing at the photo. Yunyao exclaims, asking what she taught the Fluffy at home. She orders the photo to be deleted, looking at the screen with alarm. Xiu laughs, trying to hold onto the phone and not give it to Yunyao. Yunyao clears his throat, watching Xiao with curiosity. She wonders why Xiao has such a sour expression on his face. Xiao explains that he signed a contract with Husky last night and was worried about her promotion. Yunyao is surprised. He became a spirit manager, although he had never made contracts before. The girl asks why a Snow Plains wolf was chosen for the contract. She explains that there are many such animals, but it is difficult to make a contract with them. Xiao hugs Husky and asks what the problem is with the Snow Plains wolves. Yunyao explains that their personalities and natural abilities are often not suitable for contracts. The limit of spiritual power of such wolves is usually low, which limits their possibilities. She reflects that he cannot reveal that his Husky is unusual and not a completely normal wolf. Yunyao laughed but calmed Xiao down, explaining the potential of the Snow Plains wolves. She noted that such wolves could awaken powerful companion skills, although rarely. Xiao asked in surprise what companion skills were. Yunyao explained that they only appear on spiritual beasts that have made a contract. For example, her star fox has a chance to awaken the skill Snow Dance. The skill uses spiritual power and allows the Fluffy to move faster on snow and ice. Xiao listens attentively, noting how this opens up new possibilities for Husky. Yunyao adds that the spiritual power of new spirit controllers is very weak. Even for an animal with high natural stats, the companion skill quickly uses up its strength. In severe cases, the beast may faint or lose consciousness after the skill awakens. Xiu explains that after a good rest, spiritual power is gradually restored. Yunyao adds that it is similar to the MP indicator in the game. Xiu asks how to increase spiritual power. Yunyao explains, every breakthrough of the spiritual beast feeds the spiritual power of the spirit manager. Both sides grow mutually beneficially, which is the main purpose of the spiritual contract. She mentions that there are natural resources and treasures that directly increase strength, but he adds that access to such resources is limited for them. Xiao asks about the limit of spiritual power and spiritual beasts. He wonders if the limit of the beast's soul power is the same as the level of the spirit controller. Yunyao explains, the limit of the soul power of a spirit beast depends on its race and level. It naturally increases with the breakthroughs and growth of the spirit beast. Representatives of the same race can differ greatly in natural characteristics. Spirits with excellent natural data are stronger than those with low data. Example, a beast with a spiritual power of 100 to 100 and excellent data has a strength limit of 1000. Low data spirit, spiritual power 100 to 100, limit 100 to 100. Powerful spirit beasts are born with a high limit of spirit power. Yunyao explains, some spirit beasts have a spirit power of 1000 over 1000. The limit is 1 star 1000. Other beasts have a spiritual power of 2000 over 2000. The limit of the first star is 2000. The spiritual power indicator directly reflects the strength of the race. Xiao writes everything down in his notebook, surprised by the possibility of increasing the limit of the beast's soul power. Yunyao reminds that the goal is to raise Husky to the normal level of a 2nd star. She suggests that the fluffy one should train together with Husky. Fox Yunyao hissed, showing his strength. The level is much higher than Husky's. Xiao denies in surprise. He is not going to fight a strong beast. He thinks, fighting a 4-star spirit animal will give Husky a lot of experience. Yunyao calmly launches the fox, giving the command, Fluffy, forward. The fox attacks. The Husky stands calmly. watching the approaching fox. The fox approaches the husky, demonstrating speed and agility. Yunyao notes, the fox is smaller and more agile, but has less stamina than the Snow Plains wolf. She thinks, a high-level fluffy, but not a strong spiritual beast, will not be able to withstand several blows from the scorching claw. Yunyao raises his hand, commanding the fluffy one to use the skill Snow Burst and block his vision. Fluffy jumps up and attacks, making hissing sounds. Husky looks at him with bewilderment, watching his actions. Xiao orders Husky to use Ice Breath on Snowmass to force Fox out. Husky growls, concentrating on tactics and defense. Husky looks around, looking for Fox. His gaze becomes serious. He starts barking. Ice spikes fly forward. The fog thickens around. The view is blocked, and a thick fog appears between the animals. Yunyao and Xiao's gazes meet. Xiao looks worried. Shu understands that he made a fool of himself due to his inexperience. Yunyao gives the spirit the command to use Snowburst, but carefully. Sai suggests, dodge and use Scorching Claws to push the fox away. Husky goes on the attack, strictly following orders. The fox stands nearby, surrounded by fog, ready to fight. Suddenly, Husky's spirit appears above him. Xiao worries about the outcome of the battle. Husky covers. He is going to use true power. Xiao does not let him open up. Shu rushes and hugs Husky, holding him down and holding back his power. He decides to admit defeat, but it's not worth revealing Husky's true form just yet. Yunyao admits he and Fluffy are strong. Husky continues to bark. Fox watches warily. The misunderstanding between the animals does not go away. Husky is still angry about the loss. Yunyao notes that Husky is under Xiao's protection. Xiao holds Husky in his arms, considering his next move. Yunyao and Xiao walk forward. Chen looks at the screen with Husky's skills and functions. There are many system functions that have not yet been unlocked. Eye of True Sight, Fake Beast Body, Soul Fusion, Limitless Summoning. Xiao ponders, I need to level up Husky to the 2nd star and use Rapid Assimilability to speed up the progress. He also decides to find out the meaning of the Proofreader status. A crack in the sky gapes above the snow-capped mountain peaks, shining with a strange light. The man reports to Commander Zuo about the state of the other world. The outer perimeter is almost clear of otherworldly beasts, he reports. Commander Zoa approaches the rift, planning to enter. He orders a retreat to the entrance, preparing for the next move. The subordinate confirms that he will carry out the order and retreats. In the classroom, a teacher stands behind the podium, greeting first-year students. Wang Han, the leader of Team B in Bingyuan, announces that the northern part of the Snow Plains has discovered a new otherworld. By order of the educational institution, military training of students will be conducted in the otherworld. The results of the preparation will affect the final grades and professional classification. The teacher asks students to take this seriously. The students whisper about the scary creatures they might encounter there. One student remarks that Zuo Jiyu personally went to the zone, which means it's safe there. The other students discuss what they want to be in. The operations department, not the cannon fodder department. Xiao lies on his desk, thinking about the military training that awaits him. The teacher reassures, the surroundings have been cleared. Only low-level beasts remain. Military training will begin in a week. Advises to start training already. The students work in groups of 3, taking care of each other. Xiao is happy and smiles. Husky is surprised. Xiu suggests to Yunyao that they work together, taking care of each other. Yunyao is surprised to see Xiao grabbing her fox's paws, but agrees. Xiao looks for a 3rd person for the group, looking around the hall of students. He asks the guy with the white snake if he wants to join their group. The guy shows off his spirit beast, the 2-star ice snake. Xiu points to Husky, who looks noble, asking about his strength. The guy thinks that Husky is just a pet, then leaves, making excuses, citing that he already has a group. Xiao is irritated, thinking that he should have said something earlier and not wasted time. Xiao walks up to the girl. The boy watches him go, thinking about the combat power of the snow wolf. He thinks who would want to team up with a low-level beast. Xiao asks the girl if she wants to join their group. The girl refuses, suggesting that they look for someone else. Xiao is surprised. No one wants his wolf. The beast looks with interest. He approaches other students, but they all refuse. Xiao is upset, realizing that the snow wolf is a common, low potential and weak race. Behind his back, the students are surprised that someone made a contract with him. Qian explains his choice of spirit as either stupidity or Xiao's poverty. Xiao thinks about the guy's words. He gets angry but leaves silently. The guy tries to invite Yunyao to his group, but she was already in another one, so she refused. Xiao sits down next to Yunyao, upset that no one wants to team up with him. Yunyao explains that everyone wants the strongest, and Snow Wolf is not the best choice. Xiao is saddened and watches the students form groups. The students call Lu Lian to join them because of his 5-star beast. He refuses to join. He already has a group. Xiao decides to prove to everyone that a 5-star beast is not a reason for superiority. He pets Husky, thinking about his future military training. Xiao checks his phone and decides to unlock the skill Rapid Absorption. He thinks it will make an impression during training. Xiu asks Yunyao about a suitable place to train newcomers in spirit control. Yunyao replies, the Spirit Control Pavilion, where she trained in the summer and reached the 4-star level. She adds that if she knew Xiao's choice in controlling spirits, she would have taken him with her to training. Yunyao adds that the pavilion is free for orphans like him and Xiao. It is limited to the period of mental control of a newbie. Xiao thought. Yunyao smiled and said that Husky's level would rise to 2 stars in a week. Qian planned to visit the Spirit Management Pavilion tomorrow. Suddenly, Husky jumped up and barked right in Xiao's ear. Xiao asks him not to bark so loudly, holding him under the desk. Husky smiles as he looks at Xiao. A crack in the sky widens over the snow cover. A monster appears in the snow, with a rider next to him. Zoe gives the order. Tomorrow, the parade will enter another world. The Snow Plain Army stands at the entrance. They must not enter the core of the other world. The subordinates confirm receipt of the order. Xian and Yunyao approach the reception desk of the training hall. The girls at the desk ask for identification. Xiao hands over the documents. The girls are surprised. Children of martyrs? She bowed and returned the ID to Xiao. Xiu looks around the Spirit Management Pavilion, noticing the students with the beasts. Yunyao explains, this level is for beginners. The level above is for advanced. Xiao asks how long Yunyao has been training here. Yunyao replies, 2 months already, for free. At first she went to him, but he said that he was going to the snowfield to conduct research. He did not take her with him, and she could not contact him. She is glad that Xiao is okay. Xiao wondered what he said, and why he couldn't remember his words. Yunyao and Xiao walk down the hallway past Battle Room 3105. Xiao thinks about his hidden memories. Yunyao points ahead. This is the place. Qian wonders what he was hiding. Suddenly, she grabs Xiao by the collar to wake him up. Yunyao assumes that he was Husky in his past life, dragging him along the floor. The man approaches Yunyao and Xiao, remembering her name. He guesses that she has 4 stars and is going to the normal difficulty trials. Yunyao says that she brought a friend today. She pulls Xiao by the collar, indicating that it is him. The man notes that her fox is well behaved and sits calmly on his shoulder. The manager recalls how Yunyao ranked 3rd on the 1-star permit list. Yunyao humbly replies that it was just luck. Xiao asks what the permission list is. The man points to the screen, showing the information. The screen shows a list of the easy difficulty level. First place, Zuo Y Shui, 3 hours, 45 minutes, 12 seconds. Second place, Xia Yan, 4 hours, 40 minutes, 36 seconds. Third place, Yunyao, 4 hours, 46 minutes, 50 seconds. Fourth place, Zhan San, 5 hours, 10 minutes, 20 seconds. Yunyao is happy on the screen. She is 3rd on the easy level list. Xiao is surprised, doesn't understand the system, but agrees that it's cool. The girl explains that there are 202 star snowboards on a simple polygon. Ordinary people cannot pass through the polygon at all. Those who are on the list receive many rewards and bonuses. Xiao asks what rewards Yunyao received. She explains that she has received 4-star awards. The man adds, everyone on the list is given lifetime VIP. Also, all objects in the building can be used at a discount. The man assures that the reward does not disappoint any of the newcomers. Xiao stares at the screen thoughtfully, impressed by the system. The man asks Xiao if he wants to take the test and where his contracted spirit beast is. Xiao picks up Husky, revealing it as his spirit beast. The man thinks he's joking, but Yunyao clarifies, it's a snow wolf, his contract beast. The guy thought about it, realizing the seriousness of the situation. There were 200 2-star snow boars modeled on the training ground. Even one was a tough target. Xiao only has 1 star, and a low-level wolf might not be able to handle it. The man advises giving up so as not to torment the spirit beast. Xiao says resolutely that he won't know the result until he tries it. He asks permission to start the test, clenching his fists. The man confirms it is his choice. The medical staff will be notified. It cannot be stopped. Xiao goes to the testing site. Yunyao watches him, expressing faith in his success. Xiao announces, let's begin, and the task is modulated in front of him. The landscape changes. Snow, ice fields, Xiao and Husky stand in the middle of the cold. The first boar approaches them. Xiao gives Husky instructions. Jump and attack the neck with claws. He warns, do not reveal the main body. The goal is only to hold out for the 2nd star. The Husky barks and quickly attacks. The boar attacks. The Husky jumps up and ends up behind the enemy. Husky lands slowly, rushes into another attack with all his might. Xiao watches carefully and warns, watch your back. 2 more boars appear from the flanks, surrounding Husky. Husky confidently attacks and throws the boars aside. One of the boars hits him in the side. Husky slides on the snow, but gets back on his paws. The manager watches the test, amazed by the 1-star wolf's resilience. Yunyao looks on with concern, wishing Xiao good luck. Xiao is focused. Husky is ready for the next attack. Xiao looks at Husky. The wolf is slightly beaten and covered in wounds. Their eyes meet, the tension in the air. Husky sees dozens of boars approaching, his eyes glowing in the darkness. The boars surround him from all sides. The attack begins, and Husky falls to the floor. Blood splatters onto the snow, making for a disturbing scene. Yunyao looks at the screen with surprise and worry. Red spots spread around the wounds, red power emanating from Husky. The man and Yunyao stare at the screen. The Snow Plains wolf is showing a red aura, an unusual skill. The man is surprised, seeing the snow wolf in such a state for the first time. Yunyao is also amazed, noting the unusual display of power. The man tries to remember where he saw something like this, but to no avail. The Husky gets angry and starts growling and howling. The boars are surprised. This is Lord Pressure, a skill of intimidating the rulers of the population. The man explains that ordinary spirit beasts cannot master this skill. Yunyao wonders about intimidation. The man confirms that it is rare. This is a skill that rulers are born with. If it was a normal snow boar, it would be stunned and run away in fear. Xiao watches thoughtfully as Husky rushes to attack the boars. The boar hologram shatters into pieces. The guy reflects that even with intimidation, defeating virtual boars is not easy. Yunyao is shocked, realizing that this is no ordinary snow wolf at all. The boars attack Husky, ready to tear him apart. Husky jumps into the air, activating his magic power. A red glow swirls around him, enveloping his body. The boars begin to disintegrate, overwhelmed by Husky's power. Sheen's gaze is fixed on the wolf, full of surprise. He tries to understand, what's wrong with Husky? Why is he so strong? Is Husky really using the abilities of his main body? Xiao opens the Husky status window on the screen. Snow Plains. Wolf. Pseudo. Normal level. 1 star. Spiritual power 110/110. Mood irritated. Natural data is excellent. Current state is an unknown blessing. Skills: splitting claw, ice breath, countless transformations. An unknown blessing is able to awaken the true body of a spirit beast. The blessing comes from an unknown being, adding to Husky's power. The Husky is irritated. The tension is palpable in the air. Xiao watches the red glow around the wolf carefully. He ponders a blessing from an unknown being. The skill that causes this has not been recorded before. A red mist begins to swirl around Husky. Xiao is surprised. Is this the awakening of a true beast? Husky's power and ferocity have noticeably increased. Husky stands in the snow, surrounded by red energy waves. A charging boar appears above him, ready to strike. Husky activates the power. Energy swirls around. The boar is destroyed, dispersed by the energy vortex. The boy watches in amazement, remembering the red blood mist. He explains, "This is the awakening of the wolf bloodline. The legendary power of the true ancestors is activated in Husky's body. Some spirit beast controllers can ignite the ancient blood at a critical moment." The guy explains, "Awakening along the bloodline is extremely rare. Only individuals with excellent natural abilities have even a minimal chance. The awakening of a one-star snow wolf is an unheard-of event. The condition of this snow plains wolf seems to be even stronger than the awakening of a normal bloodline." The guy thought that seeing a legendary event with his own eyes was incredible. After awakening the bloodline, Husky defeats 44 two-star snow boars. The screen shows the current test subject is Shu Qian. The number of remaining virtual spirit animals is 156. Yunyao is happy. Shu Qian will be able to pass the test. The guy is sure Shu Qian will cope. The bloodline will give a chance to compete for the first place. Yunyao supports, shouting, "Go ahead, continue." The manager is about to inform the boss. Xiao warns Husky, "Be careful." Husky stands in the snow, watching the enemies approach. Xiao is amazed. There are so many enemies that there is no end in sight. Husky and Xiao were surprised when they saw the system message pop up. Message: the skill Rapid Acquisition has been activated. The development speed of the contract beast, the Snow Plains Wolf, has been increased. Beast status: Pseudo, normal level, 2 stars. Spiritual power is now 44 out of 210. A message appeared. Congratulations to the owner on completing the newbie tasks and obtaining the skill Quick Learning. This skill increases the development speed of the contracted spirit beast. Snow Wolf. Pseudo, normal rank. Level: 2 stars. Spiritual power: 44 out of 210. Mood is calm. Natural data is excellent. Now is in a state of unknown blessing. Skills: splitting claws, ice breath, countless transformations, unknown blessing, quick acquisition. Companion skill awakened. Snow plains. Wolf has gained a carnivorous habit, allowing it to capture part of the enemy's spiritual power and use it for its own purposes. Xiao looked at the screen in surprise. He saw that his snow wolf's level had indeed increased to 2 stars, and the skill Rapid Absorption had been activated. His spiritual power increased, and the new possibilities opened up by awakening his companion skill amazed his imagination. Xiao frowned as he looked at the skill description. Awakened or just a companion's passive effect, he thought. His gaze slid over the text. Snow Plains Wolf's carnivorous habit can take away some of the opponent's spiritual power and use it for his own purposes. It's as if Husky had awakened specifically for this situation, Xiao thought, feeling both surprised and wary. He realized that their strength had now increased significantly, and that this ability could play a decisive role in the upcoming battles. Husky sat nearby, quietly looking at the approaching opponents, as if sensing that his awakening had already changed the rules of the game. Xiao watched Husky carefully. The wolf stood in a fighting stance, his eyes shining blue, reflecting determination and strength. As the boar approached him, Husky swung his paw sharply, splitting the enemy into pieces. A red glow once again surrounded his body, indicating the awakening of an unknown blessing. The ice breath skill is almost useless here. The thick-skinned snow boars aren't that easy to hit with it, Xiao thought. The only thing left to rely on was the splitting claw. He knew that if Husky hadn't awakened this skill, his spiritual power simply wouldn't be able to withstand the strain. A new mark appeared on the screen. 47 out of 210. Strength increase. Xiao thought, if Husky could combine unknown blessing with rapid absorption on his own, perhaps he could rise to 3 ordinary stars even before the start of military training. The boar suddenly jumped out right in front of Husky. The wolf reacted instantly. His paw rushed forward and he grabbed the boar by the throat, squeezing with incredible force. The boar couldn't take it anymore. His body instantly fell apart. Husky growled, demonstrating his power. Xiao watched his spirit beast in amazement, amazed at its strength and precision of movements. Almost halfway there, he thought, watching Husky confidently stand on the snow, ready for the next wave of enemies. The boy observer stood motionless, watching the proceedings with great attention, his eyes reflecting a mixture of surprise and admiration. What the 1-star snow wolf displayed was beyond the ordinary for his level. Yunyao frowned as she watched Husky. She noticed that despite the increasing interval between strikes and the slowing rate of destruction of the snow boars, the wolf is still able to use the splitting claw skill. Could it be that awakened bloodlines also restore spiritual powers? She wondered. Her mind told her that perhaps Husky had activated some special companion skill related to restoring strength. This was something rare and unusual. The ability to maintain energy in battle, even when an ordinary 1-star spirit beast would already be on the verge of exhaustion. The boy frowned in surprise as he watched Husky. He had never seen a spirit beast awaken a companion skill when going from 1 star to 2, especially for the wolf of the snowy plains, which usually does not even have good natural abilities. Yunyao, watching the fight, replied, Tian said that his snowy plain wolf has excellent natural abilities. The guy raised his eyebrows and laughed. He had just seen the awakening of the bloodline, and even such natural data no longer seemed so surprising. After all, this is the wolf of the snowy plains. The awakening of the bloodline and the companion skill are what are truly impressive. He realized that the combination of rare blood and a unique awakening made Husky unusually strong, far beyond expectations for his race and level. The Husky found himself in the very center of a snowy field, surrounded by a pack of wild boars ready to attack. He acted in a coordinated manner, using his paws and teeth to fight off and push away his opponents, demonstrating incredible agility and strength. Xiao guided his actions, telling him where to jump and who to focus on. Despite the huge numbers, 200 boars, Husky confidently reduced their ranks, throwing the enemies into the air. Striking with their hind legs, waving their front legs and holding back the onslaught of the pack. The screen displayed statistics. The number of remaining virtual spirit animals was gradually decreasing, and time was passing. Every action Husky took reduced the enemy's numbers, and soon all 200 boars were defeated. During the fight, Husky maintained his concentration, demonstrating coordinated movements and the use of his skills, including his awakened state. The red glow around him emphasized the power of the awakened blessing, which allowed him to withstand attacks and effectively destroy virtual opponents. In the end, the field was left empty, demonstrating the complete superiority of the Husky and his owner. Xiao and Husky stood there proudly until the manager came over and asked if Xiao was really the Snow Plains wolf. Xiao confirmed with a slight cough that this was so. The manager suggested trying to conclude the contract in natural conditions. The boy noted the change in the rating on the screen, causing the students to be surprised. Yunyao confirmed that she had predicted this outcome. The students watched the updated leaderboard for the easy difficulty of level 1. They discussed how someone could surpass Zhu Xiao's position. Shaiqian surprised the people of Lingqian City with his sudden appearance. He immediately took first place, surpassing Zhu Weixiaye's achievements. Zhu Weixiaye almost a week to reach this level. The city welcomed a new genius. he aroused interest and admiration. Xiaoqian had made a contract which also aroused curiosity. It was probably a rare and powerful spirit beast. Xiaoqian's speed almost surpassed Zhu Weixiai's results. Xiao was happy and proud of his first place. New data for the easy difficulty list appeared on the screen. Zhu Qian took first place with a time of 2 hours, 53 minutes, and 30 seconds. Second place went to Zhuo Weixiai with a time of 3 hours, 45 minutes, and 12 seconds. Third place went to Xia Yan with a time of 4 hours, 40 minutes, 36 seconds. Fourth place went to Yunyao with a time of 4 hours, 46 minutes, and 50 seconds. Fifth place went to Zhan San with a time of 5 hours, 10 minutes, 20 seconds. Xiao asked about his time of passage. The manager looked at the data. The time was 2 hours, 53 minutes, almost an hour faster than Zhuo Weixia. Xiao realized that he was first. The Husky happily spun around. Xiao laughed, rejoicing in his victory. He thought about the reward. It would be nice if they gave him money, he thought, stroking Husky. Yunyao became angry and sternly warned that the first-place reward must be something of special value that could not be bought with money. The manager reassured her, explaining that the institution would not skimp on Xiaoqian and would prepare a reward of a worthy level. Xiao was delighted and eagerly asked what the prize would be. The manager clarified that the exact type of prize depended on the will of the pavilion owner. He remembered that the last time Zhu Xiao won first place, the master gave her a precious fire crystal that was necessary for evolution, which can't be exchanged even for 1,000 gold coins. Xiao listened attentively and waited with interest to see what kind of reward he would get this time. Xiao approached Yunyao, asking what reward she had. The girl strictly warned him not to ask for money. Xiao was surprised, and the manager hurried after them, trying to keep up and introduce Xiao to the owner of the pavilion. Yunyao and Xiao walked up to the reception desk, where the owner of the pavilion himself was already waiting for them. The manager was shocked when he saw the vice president of the Snow Plains Spirit Management Association. Usually, the owner of the pavilion rarely appears in public, even when he returns to the Spirit Management Building, and today he is here. Xiao walked up to the owner, loudly declaring his desire to receive the reward. The owner confirmed that Xiao Tian was ranked first in the easy level of the first floor. The students were surprised. They couldn't believe that this Xiao had made a contract with the Snow Plains Wolf and was able to take first place. The owner of the pavilion was himself amazed and impressed. The Snow Plains Wolf had actually passed the test. He was looking forward to the developments with Xiao and his spirit being. The one-star Snow Plains Wolf had topped the list since his first visit to the Spirit Management Pavilion. This child could grow into a second Zhu Weixiao. No, the owner changed his mind. Perhaps the child's achievements could even surpass her own. The owner asked him what he wanted, promising to do everything in his power. Xiao dared to ask for money, surprising Yunyao. She pinched his arm, but he laughed and said it was a joke, and he would be happy with any reward. Yunyao was both angry and impressed by his cleverness. The owner of the pavilion thought about Xiao's words and decided not to give him something ordinary. He noted that it was interesting to meet such a brave and resourceful young man. He then announced that in addition to the standard first-place rewards, he would receive all the materials needed to first evolve the Snow Plains Wolf. The contract Xiao made with would be fully paid by the Spirit Management Pavilion. Xiao and Yunyao were stunned by such generosity. The owner added that he hopes that Xiao will be able to represent Linxian City with dignity in the upcoming competitions and show all his abilities. The students nearby looked on in surprise. All the materials for the evolution of the Snow Plains Wolf seemed like a reward more valuable than Zhu Xiao's. They were surprised that the owner of the pavilion rated this young man so highly. Some people doubted whether it was worth providing materials for the evolution of the wolf, since its potential might not be enough and they might be wasted. Xiao thanked the pavilion owner for the reward. The owner noticed the strength displayed by the Snow Plains Wolf, and he suggested that Xiao try to complete the level on normal difficulty. Xiao was surprised by the unexpected offer. Xiao thought about trying to clear the normal difficulty level right after the easy one. He noticed that the owner of the pavilion had spoken highly of his abilities. The owner laughed and noted that he was too busy to watch Xiao's test for several hours. Xiao agreed and decided not to attract too much attention, realizing that there was already a buzz around it. The owner advised to book a time slot in advance to complete the regular level. He imagined how interesting it would be to see the awakening of the Snow Plains wolf bloodline with his own eyes. The next day, the auditorium was full of whispers. The students were discussing yesterday's winner, Xiao. They wanted to see the strength of his Snow Plains wolf. Some thought his success was a scam and planned to expose his true abilities. Xiao gave the command to Husky, and the boar disintegrated in midair. On the third day, it became clear that the students were wrong. Xiao and his wolf were really trying. The girl noted that this was already the third day of continuous and intensive training. She stood in the snow, and Husky was nearby, surrounded by boars. Without reawakening the true beast, the passage time slowed down. But a 2-star Husky, with the fruit-eating habit skill, could handle the normal level with almost no effort. The Husky smiled, raising his paws, and a magical ball appeared near them, shining with power. Day 4. The students discussed the results. The wolf of the snowy plains was indeed impressive, although not very impressive. Some of the guys expressed doubts, but the girl admired the beauty of the beast. With this kind of training and the rapid absorption skill, Zhao expected that he would be able to reach 3 stars before military training. The Husky raced after the boars, pursued them, caught up with them, and tore them to pieces, demonstrating strength and agility. Day 5. The students were whispering among themselves, discussing Brother Tian's return. The Snow Plains wolf appeared again and attracted everyone's attention. His strength and skills were admired and envied at the same time. The girl appeared in the audience, fully dressed in clothes with the symbols of Tian and his wolf. She had glow sticks in her hands, which she waved, encouraging Tian and his wolf. She shouted in support of them, "Brother Tian! Mighty Tian! Pull forward!" causing delight among those around her. Xian lay on the lounge chair with a glass in his hand, thinking. He recalled Yunyao's words about how it took her 2 months to reach 4 stars. He had hoped to get 3 stars in a week, which seemed like fast progress to him. Watching the best in the class who had 5 stars, he was sure that he would soon catch up with them and even surpass him. Xiao thought about the structure of the tests for newcomers. 3 levels of difficulty. The first 3 stars are easy, 4 to 6 are normal, and 7 to 9 are difficult. If he reaches 3 stars, he can try the normal level. After a few days of training, the tests began to seem easier. Xiao was thinking about the next stage of preparation. Perhaps he should go to the Snow Plains, or the other world, to give Husky more experience. The other world is more dangerous and offers more opportunities for military training. Husky ran after the boars, chasing them. Xiao watched and was amazed. Husky should behave like a real hunter, not like an ordinary herding dog. It was night. The stars were shining brightly in the sky. In Luolian's house, he sat at the monitor, carefully watching the screen. A girl appeared on the screen with the inscription, "Brother." A voice was heard from behind. The door opened, and the man handed over a piece of paper, reporting that a newcomer from their class had reached the top of the easy difficulty list in the Spirit Management Pavilion. Luolian quickly closed the monitor, trying to hide what he was looking at. He sternly reminded that next time they had to knock before entering. Luolian studied the paper carefully, thinking. The person listed on it looked like someone no one wanted to form a team with. This newcomer managed to break Zhu Xiao's record, which had stood for 10 years. Luolian recalled that during military training he wanted to act alone, but now he doubted. He wondered whether the newcomer had enough people to form a team. The day of the military training assembly. The square was crowded with people near the buses. Xian stood next to Yuyan, noting the huge number of participants. He thought about the training he had just undergone in the Spirit Control Pavilion and how Husky would soon reach 3 stars. During combat training, he planned to give his all to achieve his goal. Usually the tests were conducted at a level of difficulty corresponding to their preparation. The teacher asked if they were confident in their abilities, and noted that their team was formed. Yuyan replied that the team consisted of only 2. The teacher was surprised and looked at Lulian. Lulian extended his hand and asked to join their team. Xian and Lulian's eyes met. Lulian noticed that their team was missing 1 person. He offered to join them. Lulian clarified that his spirit beast was the 5-star snow elf. The elf appeared next to Lulian. He planned to use this chance to test the real strength of the ranking leaders, as he had not had the opportunity to train in the spirit management pavilion before. The guy in the crowd was amazed. Lulian was on their team, even though everyone thought his team was already full. Lulian, they answered incorrectly. He explained that he was busy and was just leaving. Lulian's team had a contract beast, the 1-star Snow Plains wolf, which caused ridicule and discontent. Lulian laughed and said he didn't mind, since this was the only team that was short-staffed. The girls next to him supported him and said that he could join their team. They shouted that Xian's team was losers and kicked the member out for Luliang's sake. He calmly replied that he didn't mind, since his 5-star snow elf was 3 times superior to the 1-star Snow Plains wolf. The classmates started shouting at Xiang, demanding that he return Luliang. Xiang was surprised and replied that he was not obligated to return anything. The girls froze in bewilderment when he explained that Luliang was already on his team. He smiled and added that the girls had no chance. Angry classmates complained. One of them took her friend and screamed about the unbearable situation. Lulian apologized for the trouble he had caused. Yuan reassured everyone, saying that it was normal. Jin said that it was a good thing that Luliang joined, otherwise there would only be 2 of them on the team. The teacher announced that since the teams were complete, everyone needed to get on the bus. The bus started moving and moved slowly along the long, winding road, followed one after another by other buses. The students settled into their chairs, talking and exchanging impressions about the upcoming training. Qian watched Qian and his team closely. He thought that Lu was really cunning. By choosing a team that no one else in the class wanted to join, Lu created a shield for himself and tested who could handle the challenges of learning. The guy doubted whether such a team would be able to achieve results. One warrior in the field would not cope, even if he was twice as strong as the others. The girl on the team possessed a rare snow fox, making her an impressive ally. But what good is the Snow Plains wolf, who was a 1-star just a week ago and is now a 2-star? Qian focused on Xiang. The name seemed familiar. He remembered that someone with a similar name had recently broken the record in the Spirit Management Pavilion. But the boy tried to convince himself that this young man was just a namesake. Luolian turned to Xu Qian, reminding him of the recent record. Qian was surprised how Luolian knew about this. Luolian explained that their success was too obvious. Many students had not yet realized that it was Qian who had broken Zhu Weiqiao's record. He talked about the Spirit Management Pavilion system, the ranks of beginner, student, and pro. Qian was the first to break the record that had stood for 10 years, even while at beginner level and on easy difficulty. Chen smiled and noted with relief that he was lucky. Qian thought about the top of the ranking list. He realized that getting there meant proving strength, not relying on luck. Luliang emphasized that although the outside world was dangerous, fighting there was the only way to develop the strength of a contracted beast. He suggested that when they got there, they should go deeper and take the chance for real experience and training. Qian nodded and said that he wanted to see for himself how the otherworldly beasts behaved by observing them. He thought that this might help him find the missing piece of his memory. Yuan intervened, asking if they wanted to hear her opinion, and Jian smiled and invited her to come with them. She agreed, but stressed that decisions could not be made without her participation. Xian was surprised why he couldn't see the other contract beasts. Yunyao explained that everyone kept their spirits in the spirit dominion, calling them only for battles. Xian asked what a spiritual dominion was, and Yunyao explained that it was a portable space that used a spirit contract as a mediator, where beasts can rest and recuperate. All spirit controllers can use the spirit domain. Yuan snapped her fingers, and her pet glowed blue. Waves of energy emanated from her chest, causing Jian to be surprised. The white flash grew brighter and brighter. Jian looked at him in bewilderment, imagining that there was a small room in his chest where Husky would be locked. He wondered how to open it. Yuan explained that it was enough to direct the power so that he could feel the contract with the spirit beast. The contract will automatically open the spiritual domain. Qian was surprised. Yuan added that her beast is small and takes up almost no space in the domain. It is necessary to feel the spirit contract correctly. Husky watched with interest, and Qian looked at her attentively. Yuan explained that opening a spiritual domain is not an easy process for a beginner. It usually takes a week or more to master the skill, but Qian has already managed it. Lu and Yuan watched in surprise as Qian used his abilities and opened the Husky domain earlier than expected. A flash of blue light enveloped Husky. Waves of energy came from his chest. Qian exclaimed in surprise. Husky disappeared, and Qian smiled. He realized that the spiritual domain had been opened. Yuan congratulated him, surprised that it took her 3 days to do the same. Lu was also amazed. It took him 2 whole days. Qian did it in a matter of minutes. Lu thought that he had made the right choice by teaming up with him. The bus moved slowly between narrow streets and houses. The road seemed long, but an hour had already passed. There were other vehicles in the parking lot, including trucks loaded with luggage. The back of their trucks, surprising the drivers. One of them remarked that it looked like new students from Bengi Yuan University had arrived. The university administration really turned out to be smart, having arrived in time for the start of military training and the discovery of the other world. The drivers were discussing how the students were going on a hike, while here they were hunting otherworldly beasts. One of the guys sharply said not to rush to conclusions. Perhaps one of the students will become a useful comrade in the future. He reminded that the hunt for otherworldly beasts is conducted for the sake of their future. They decided to calmly transport the carcasses. In the trunk lay a large beast, presumably stronger than the normal level, perhaps an elite-class queen. Despite this, they were sure that they had killed her. Green liquid dripped from the trunk. The centipede moved slowly. Qian walked out from behind the bus with Lu and Yuan. The students stared at the monster, amazed. What a huge centipede! It was an otherworldly beast, they whispered. Qian concentrated and summoned his spirit beast, Husky. He was surprised to see that the spirit domain was truly impressive. The students came closer, looking at the centipede. It moved slightly, causing alarm. Qian concentrated and noticed that inside the spiritual house, he could communicate with Husky through his consciousness. Right now, the spiritual house space was a bit cramped, but the beast was clearly comfortable. Qian released Husky and stroked him. The drivers said that they had come to deliver the corpse of an otherworldly beast, and they decided to call for help to unload it. Green liquid spurted out of the centipede's body, and the drivers jumped back in horror. A multitude of small centipedes burst out from inside, crawling chaotically in all directions. The students began to retreat in panic, screaming and running away. The girl watched in horror as fear gripped everyone present. There was a feeling of uneasiness everywhere, due to the sudden appearance of living otherworldly beasts. The men immediately rushed to destroy the fleeing centipedes, with priority given to the safety of the students. The larvae in the body of even the weakest centipedes had the strength of a normal 7-star level. The warriors rushed to the attack, their fighting spirit manifested in the form of a bear. The students retreated. The panic grew. The centipede almost hit one of the girls, and it was clear that there were too few people to resist. The situation remained tense. The threat remained. The girl screamed as the centipede quickly approached, threatening her with its sharp claws. At that moment, Husky suddenly appeared in the air, sharply attacking the centipede and throwing it away, saving the girl. She fell to the floor, scared, trying to recover. Husky immediately attacked the centipede again, delivering quick and precise blows, not giving her time to recover. Lu immediately ran to the girl and carefully lifted her from the ground, monitoring her condition and assessing the danger around her. Behind Qian and Yuan, carefully watching the fight. The centipede looked dangerous. Its strength was clearly at the normal 6 or even 7-star level. Qian looked at Husky with interest and a smile, amazed by his ability to cope with such a threat and the precision of his fighting. Husky focused on attacking, using his strength against Scolopendra. Yuan watched every move, noting how the fluffy one used Snow Blast right in front of his opponent's eyes. The snow fox looked small and vulnerable, and Yuan was worried that she wouldn't be able to withstand even one blow. Husky was very close to the target, Xian shouted, reminding him to use Splitting Claw. Husky rushed forward with all his strength. The fog instantly enveloped the battlefield. Xian was happy, thinking that the attack had worked. But when the fog cleared, Scolopendra emerged unharmed. Splitting Claw had left no mark on her body. Yuan and Xian were amazed. Despite all the efforts, the Scolopendra turned out to have an extremely strong body. The students ran away in panic from the approaching threat, turning back every now and then. Xian, Yuan, and Lu knew that they couldn't let the Scolopendras break into the crowd. More and more monsters appeared around. Lu shouted, calling for Xiao Ai. His dwarf appeared next to him and released his power. Lu activated the Snow Song skill. The melody spread through the air, filling the space with sounds, which had an inspiring and calming effect on the creatures of the snowy plains. Under the influence of the song, the fighting power was increased for a short time. The husky howled in response to the melody. Xian watched the reaction with surprise. Lu admitted that his spirit beast was not strong in attack, so he would take on the task of holding back the enemy. Xian and Yuan agreed, deciding to focus on attacking. Fox and Husky stood at the ready to attack. Nearby, the dwarf continued to play a melody that enhanced their fighting abilities. The centipedes came closer and closer, causing the students to scream and retreat in panic, calling on each other to flee. A teacher burst through the chaos, loudly ordering everyone to return to their cars immediately and not leave their shelters while the otherworldly beasts were being cleared out. His voice cut through the noise of the crowd, instilling confidence. Then he summoned his spirit, a huge snow eagle whose wings cut through the air. The eagle soared into the sky, receiving orders to protect the students and not allow any otherworldly beast to get through to them. The eagle swooped down, aiming its talons at the Scolopendra's head. The huge creature was approaching Xian, poisonous saliva hissing from its mouth. At that moment, Lu shouted out his companion's skill. The dwarf standing next to him raised his hands, and a furious blizzard swirled around him. A white whirlwind instantly covered the entire space, the air filled with snow and ice crystals. The gnome's eyes sparkled, and his body seemed to rise on streams of magical power. Xian watched in amazement as the blast of icy energy scattered everything around him, throwing him backwards and sending the Scolopendra's massive body flying to the side. And he says that he's not strong in attack. Xian thought in surprise, climbing out of the snowdrift. Snow covered the entire field, turning the ground into a white sheet. Xian looked like a snowman covered from head to toe. Husky struggled out from under the snow nearby, shaking himself and shaking his ears. Almost immediately, he rushed forward, howling as he rushed at Scolopendra to continue the fight. The husky bit into the Scolopendra's body with fury, his blows accompanied by bursts of force, leaving marks on the monster's chitinous shell. Each jerk was accompanied by a ferocious roar, and the claws scraped against the beast's armor. Suddenly, there was a crunching sound and cracks appeared on the black-green surface of the Scolopendra. Xian, Yuan, and Lu, stepping back, looked on in amazement, their eyes widening in surprise. A moment ago, the creature seemed invulnerable, but now a thick, poisonous green liquid began to flow from its body. It fell to the ground, leaving hissing traces. The awakened true power of Husky, enhanced by Lulian's inspiring snow song, was actually able to cause damage to the otherworldly beast. A loud system notification sounded. Object: Otherworldly Beast. Scolopendra. Level: Normal. 7 stars. Spiritual Power: 530 out of 700. Skills: Bite. Tear with poisonous fangs. It was emphasized that this creature came from an alien world. Xian held his breath as he realized that they had actually managed to wound the monster that was considered almost impenetrable. Xian, noticing the description of Scolopendra's skills, mentally admired. Her arsenal was limited to close-range attacks. He raised his hand, his eyes blazing with determination. Now was their chance. He gave the order. They must attack without hesitation, not letting the monster get close. They stepped forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with Xian. In front of them stood the huge body of Scolopendra, wounded but still dangerous. Behind, in the crowd of retreating students, Chen stopped and couldn't look away. He didn't understand. Why were these three able to resist such a monster? Why weren't they shaking like everyone else? His first reaction was to run away with the crowd, and he barely managed to fight off the fear that was creeping up on him. His body was still shaking with terror, but before his eyes, he saw only those who remained. They were not afraid. They stood and fought, as if they had no choice. Something in his heart painfully squeezed, a mixture of envy, shame, and admiration. Yuan ordered her fox to use Snow Blast. The little beast rushed forward without thinking, and thick white fog swirled around it. The smoke quickly spread, obscuring the view and closing the monster's eyes. In this curtain, Husky was already moving, approaching Scolopendra. Lu continued to support his gnome with the melody, and the sounds increased the rhythm of the fight. His eyes widened in amazement. A one-star beast until recently was able to deal significant damage to an elite Scolopendra. There was no such data in Lu's memory. Husky's animal spirit profile didn't list any skills like the one he had just shown. This is a new skill, he thought, amazed. Meanwhile, the beast from the other world staggered, but its eyes were filled with a dark, poisonous light. The centipede opened its mouth, its fangs flashing green poison as it prepared for a poisonous bite. The danger came from one blow. Even the slightest hit could deprive Husky of the chance to continue the fight. Zhu felt a mortal threat and shouted sharply towards Husky, ordering him to dodge. The wolf deftly darted to the side, avoiding the blow, and immediately rushed forward, launching a counterattack. The teacher had already managed to come up from behind. He saw in front of him not just a group of students, but newcomers who, despite everything, were withstanding the onslaught of the beast. And they even managed to damage him. In his eyes, it seemed impossible. The teacher raised his hand, and his chest glowed with a powerful light. A majestic spirit appeared in the air, the snow eagle. Its wings spread out, eclipsing part of the sky. The teacher mentally noted, yes, the newcomers did manage to damage the beast, but the wounds were too superficial. The real blow that would decide the outcome of the battle was yet to be delivered. He decided, let them continue. Their animals will show themselves, and Snow Eagle will maintain control of the situation. The teacher frowned as he watched the fight. Anxiety was growing inside him. The enraged centipede was becoming more dangerous with each passing second, and he understood that defeating her in such a state would be much more difficult. There was a commotion in the square. The students watching from the buses began to shout and point. They recognized a figure among the fighters. It was Lu Lian. A murmur went through the crowd. No one expected that he would not only refuse to evacuate, but would also engage in battle with the beast. Lu Lian stood shoulder to shoulder with Xian and Yuan, directly in front of the monster. The huge centipede writhed, resisting the onslaught. The husky and the snow fox attacked her again and again, forcing her to roll back. Suddenly the beast's body twitched, and it rushed towards Yuan. Xian, noticing the danger, shouted to warn her. Lu Lian also shouted, ordering them to get out of the way. But the centipede suddenly accelerated. Its muzzle, covered in green poisonous liquid, was already hanging right over the girl. Yuan was momentarily stunned by the sudden increase in the monster's speed. It was too late to jump back. Students on the buses pressed themselves against the windows and screamed in horror, sensing trouble. The snow fox raised her head, her eyes blazing with icy light, preparing to pounce. The dwarf, on the other hand, tensed up, focusing all his spiritual power, supporting his allies. But before they could do anything, the centipede's huge body wrapped itself around Yuan, squeezing her with an iron ring. The girl was suffocating, her body was shaking with pain, and the monster's mouth hung over her, from which thick, poisonous saliva flowed. At that moment, a swift blow flew through the air. Jian stepped forward, his gaze flashing with determination. The Husky howled, activating his intimidation power. A wave of wild energy emanated from him, chilling him to the bone. The centipede shuddered, her body shaking in horror at the sudden predatory pressure. A moment later, she suddenly released the coils and threw Yuan away, trying to retreat. The girl collapsed to the ground, breathing heavily, but freed from the deadly grip. Lu and Xian immediately appeared next to her, shielding her and ready for the monster's next attack. The Husky stood in front, his fur standing on end, his eyes burning with cold fury, ready to continue the fight. The centipede's berserk rage suddenly died down. Her movements became confused, and her eyes widened in fear. The teacher was astonished as he watched this. The little snow wolf that had only recently risen in the stars possessed the rarest intimidation skill. This combination didn't fit into his knowledge of spirit beasts. A wave of surprise swept through the crowd of students, and the teacher himself only clenched his fists tighter. Such an ability in the hands of even a novice could become a decisive factor in a fight. He quickly realized that this was an opening for an attack. Yuan jumped up, her voice clear and sharp, calling for the opportunity to be seized while the beast was stunned with fear. At this moment, Husky bared his teeth and seemed to smile, his eyes sparkling with excitement. He felt that the advantage had shifted to them, and was ready to finish off the defeated enemy. The Husky lunged forward, his eyes flashing with a cold light, and at the moment of the jump, there was an explosion. The blow knocked the centipede off its feet, driving its body into the ground. Xian managed to notice how the wolf landed nearby, as if guarding a defeated enemy. Yuan, catching her breath, smiled, her palm sliding over Fox's fur. She quietly soothed her beast, and he, taking a deep breath, rushed after her to attack. His magic flared, but the centipede's tough chitinous armor remained largely undamaged. Husky lunged forward again, striking the beast's head. Jian, concentrating, ordered the beast to be finished off, while the intimidation effect still kept it in disarray. Lu gritted his teeth and sent the gnome charging. He summoned ice spikes that pierced the creature's wounds with a cracking sound, and green liquid gushed from beneath its shell. Xian exhaled sharply. The weak point had been found, the abdominal cavity. Hearing this, Yuan gave a sign to Lisu. Fluffy let out a piercing scream, and, gathering all his strength, brought down a blinding star slash on the centipede's abdomen, cutting through the fog of snow and magic. Husky and Fox focused on the centipede's abdomen. Under Jian's command, both beasts rushed to attack, delivering precise blows to the weak spot. The ice spikes sticking out of the body dug deeper, and Fox knocked the monster off its feet with a powerful push. The centipede flew to the ground, its movements slowing down. The teacher watched the scene, amazed at how they were able to identify a weak spot right in the middle of a fight, and use their skills to the maximum effect. The final blows ended the battle, and the centipede was finally defeated. Scolopendra lay on the floor, her body covered in green liquid with ice spikes sticking out of it. Suddenly she shot up and rushed to attack Fox and Husky. A fierce fight ensued. The centipede was hit, and green liquid spurted out like a fountain. The fox and the dwarf fell to the ground unconscious. The Husky remained standing, holding his position. The centipede lay nearby, showing no signs of activity. Yuan continued to hit the body, checking its condition. Lu reported that the centipede no longer had any life force, and Jian confirmed that the beast was dead. Yuan confirmed this by poking the centipede's body with a stick. The students looked out of the bus, watching what had happened. Qian was amazed. How could they cope and not be afraid of death? The girls confirmed that they were okay, noting that there was no danger near Luliang. One of the fighters approached the students, checking for injuries. Yuan replied that the animals were a little tired and needed rest to recover. The teacher was surprised. Husky stood before him, full of energy, wagging his tail. Although the three worked together, the decisive role was played by Snow Wolf. Qian hugged Husky, praising him for a job well done. A message appeared about the end of the battle. Husky reached a new level, 3 stars. Soul power increased to 28 out of 330. The skill, Splitting Claw, has evolved into ice-splitting ice claw, adding a freezing effect when attacking with claws. Xian watched the screen in surprise. Husky had not only reached 3 stars, but had also improved his skill. Voin approached the boys and apologized for the incident. The unexpected appearance of the beast confused them, but thanks to the students' intervention, there were no casualties. He promised to report the boys' achievements to the university. The teacher who was nearby said that he would report everything himself. The warrior agreed and added that the Snow Plains Army does not waste time on trifles, and they will also attract additional troops to ensure that such incidents do not happen again. The teacher felt confident allowing students to practice here. The warriors began to lift the body of Scolopendra. The teacher allowed the students to leave, noting that all the otherworldly beasts had been destroyed. The students watched the scene warily from the bus. They slowly left the bus, still stunned by what had happened. The girl asked Mr. Wang about the strange beast, and many expressed their fears, doubting whether they would be able to cope with such an opponent on their own. Cries of a desire to return home came from all sides. The teacher tried to calm the students, explaining that the beast was not invulnerable, and that by working together, trusting partners and spirit beasts, everyone is able to deal with high-level creatures. He gave the example of Lullian and his team, but one student pointed out that their beast was a 5-star, while his team's strongest was only a 3-star. However, Chen assured himself that he was no weaker and could also cope with the test. The teacher explained that during Xu Qian's snow wolf battle with the centipede, his beast only had 2 stars. The students were shocked and could not believe that such a powerful and coordinated attack came from a beast of such a level. They noted the skill displayed by the snow wolf, which was both impressive and frightening. The teacher added that although the beasts entrusted to them for testing were low and middle-rank ordinary spiritual beings, they still pose a danger, and carelessness can lead to serious consequences. Xian thought about the differences between ordinary-level otherworldly beasts and spiritual beasts of the same rank. He noticed that the power of the otherworldly beast was significantly greater than that of the spiritual beast, despite the same gradation. Raising his hand, he asked the teacher, Wang, whether the gradation system of otherworldly beasts was the same as the gradation system of spiritual beasts. The teacher replied that formally the gradation was the same, but in practice otherworldly beasts of the same level usually turned out to be stronger. He explained that among all the otherworldly beasts they had encountered up to this point, although there were differences between individuals and races, overall their strength exceeded that of spiritual beasts at the star level. There are 7 classes of spirit beasts on the spirit star: normal, elite, lord, monarch, legend, holy spirit, catastrophe, normal, erha, elite, snow, eagle, lord, little, small, witch, imperfect, monarch, snow, liner, legends, unknown, holy spirit, unknown, catastrophe, unknown. In the snowy plains, the only owner of a lord-level spiritual beast is the witch Balis. Her spiritual beast had reached the monarch level, showing extraordinary strength and rarity. As for the legendary spirit beasts, their appearance is extremely rare, and most people have never seen them. Even rarer are spirits of the Holy Spirit level and above. Meeting them is almost impossible for an ordinary person. The appearance of a catastrophic spirit is always accompanied by natural disasters, tsunamis, droughts, volcanic eruptions, long-term thunderstorms, and other cataclysms. These are creatures with such power that it is impossible for ordinary people to resist them. One of the students asked the sensei if it was possible to make a contract with a catastrophic spirit beast, despite its colossal power. The teacher thought for a moment and explained, according to legend, the ancient emperor of the human era of spirit beasts managed to unite the spirit planet using a catastrophe-class spirit beast. He emphasized that if a person's soul is not strong enough, it will not be able to withstand the power of a contract with such a spirit animal. Therefore, making a contract with high-level spiritual beasts is usually postponed until adulthood, when the soul has become stronger. However, there is an exception: if a high-level spirit animal willingly submits to contain your soul power. then the contract becomes possible even for a person with a relatively weak soul. There are 7 levels of spirit managers, which correspond to the classification of spirit beasts: novice, apprentice, professional, master, patriarch, glorious, hall of fame. In general, if you have a spirit animal of the required level, you can apply for the exam through the Spiritual Control Association. After successfully passing the exam, you are issued a corresponding spiritual control certificate confirming your level of mastery. There are categories like common, novice, elite, journeyman, lord, master, monarch, legend, patriarchal, saint, glorious, disaster, hall of fame. The level and strength of a spirit beast depends not only on its category, but also on the perception of the spirit controller and special tools. That is, there are 3 key factors: the controller's natural sensitivity, the ability to directly sense the soul power of the spirit beast, using the devices that help measure and adjust the maximum psionic power of the beast. Maximum soul power is a stat that shows how effectively a spirit animal can use its abilities. An example is a snow eagle with 5,400 units of soul power. In addition, the beast may have unique abilities. For example, awakening elemental skills, wind, ice, which makes them special even among animals of the same level. An elite level 5-star psionic has a maximum power of 500. The otherworld and the random appearance of otherworldly beasts represent predatory creatures that deprive people of their habitat. The teacher said that the discovery of the otherworld is unpredictable, and students must learn to behave during the invasion of monsters. Protect yourself and help others. The students were surprised. The next step the teacher described as hunting for animals in pre-divided groups of 3 people in specially designated places. For the trophies brought in, points in stars were awarded. The students pointed out that if they couldn't handle high-level beasts, they could at least kill low- and mid-level beasts, and supported the idea. The teacher was pleased, wiping the sweat from his forehead. The students were delighted. Qian stood behind him, thinking about the beast. He came here from the earth and seemed to have fallen through a time rift as well. He thought of a beast that fed on people. Yuan looked at him and was surprised. He bit her hand, imagining Husky eating a piece of meat. The teacher shared the delight with the students. The teacher explained that they would spend a week in a specially designated location outside the country, hoping that everyone would learn something. He stressed that in the other world, where there are so many opportunities, one must be very careful. Danger comes not only from animals. The students were simply communicating with each other without thinking about it. The teacher hoped that they would understand it if they thought about it. All the students were divided into groups and stood in the square, and Qian walked forward. Despite the teacher's words, the higher the star rating of the beast that the students kill, the higher the result. However, you can also win due to the number of trophies. The girl ran ahead, suggesting to find a good place with a lot of monsters, and noted that it was impossible to lag too far behind Lillian's classmates. Qian ordered, "He will carry out the instructions, and the rest must follow his words." He ordered to practice striking. The Snow Plains army provided 10 super-powerful recovery potions. Yuan reminded them that they were for the recovery of beasts. Fluffy and Snow Elf Luliana drank the potion, and their soul power quickly recovered. Yuan noted that now they would be able to hunt even otherworldly beasts. Qian asked if the drink was tasty, and Yuan explained that it was a drink for a spirit animal. Lulian suggested that they investigate further. He noted that, although the danger of the otherworld was stipulated, they were not prohibited from going beyond a certain area. Yuan poured the liquid into Husky's mouth and wondered if the Snow Plains school and army would agree with such behavior. Lulian asked Xiaoyu and Yuan for their opinions. Qian expressed interest in whether the centipede eggs were a fluke, and noticed that there were too few people in the camp, which might indicate that something strange was happening with the Snow Plains army. Lulian and Yuan looked at each other in surprise. Luetian suggested that the battle might have been planned in advance, noting that the teacher's reaction seemed to indicate that he did not know about it in advance. Yuan guessed that the Snow Plains army was unhappy with the low-level students being forced to switch sides and might have intentionally made things difficult for them. Xuan admitted that if it was true, it would be for the best. But he was worried about what was happening in the other world. He remembered that the last time he had been there, he had always had an uneasy feeling. Luolian added that even if Zhu could not suppress the other world, then the snow plains and northern Yunzhou could be finished off, to which Yuan agreed. Qian smiled and took his friends by the shoulders. He noted that, although they were scared, the Snow Plains army still had the situation under control, and there was no reason to worry unnecessarily. Xian suggested going deeper into the other world to earn points. The stronger the beast, the more points. Lu and Yuan looked at each other and, without lagging behind, said that they would catch up with him and followed Xian. Footprints in the snow showed the way, and the students moved forward. They were irritated. The moment seemed lost, since delay increased the chance that the monsters had already been killed by others. Qiang shouted to his teammates that there was no time to waste and regretted not going alone. He warned that they would soon go beyond the designated area. He and his comrades came up with a plan to ambush the monsters from the abyss, since they could be worth significantly more points. They stepped forward resolutely, following Qian and ready to act on his command. There was nothing stopping them from going beyond the designated area, which meant the university had no objections to hunting monsters in the abyss. Qian warned of possible danger, advising to be careful and not to trip. He noted that since the boys dared to go into the abyss, it meant they were confident in their abilities, and that perhaps they would get points easily. Yuan asked, "Didn't they come to the abyss specifically for the glasses?" Qian smiled and suggested making a snowman with Husky hiding inside, turning it into a game. Yuan, angry, threw a snowball at him. Luliang noted that the spirit beasts needed some time to recover, and Yuan agreed and walked over to the snowman, noting that it was quite fun to make. Suddenly the snowman stirred and Husky looked out. His face showed readiness for action. Qian became serious and demanded silence. Erha noticed some movement, and Yuan became alert. Husky made a sound, indicating the direction. Lu determined that the source was nearby. A croaking sound came from afar, and a backpack was visible on the creature's back. Qian recognized it as a white frog. Yuan confirmed in surprise that it was indeed the copper-pupiled snow toad that was considered mythical in the snowy plains, and it was now appearing before them in real life. The legendary spirit beast showed surprise. Jian asked for evidence of the existence of the snow toad. Lu Lan noted that this beast was even rarer than his own snow elf. Xian inquired about its fighting strength, but Lu Lan explained that the main thing about the snow toad was its specific ability. In legends, it is called the precious toad. Its combat capability is weak, but it has a unique sense for valuable items. This allows her to find precious artifacts, although she cannot use them on her own. Evolution is not a problem for her because she is able to obtain the necessary items herself. Yuan added that snow toads have a stealthy nature, making them difficult to spot in the wild. She remembered one legend. Several decades ago, a spirit tamer apprentice had just joined the ranks of the night adventurers. One day, he was assigned to lead a group into the snowy plains to complete a mission. On the way, they encountered a severe snowstorm, so powerful that even his contract beast couldn't handle it. The group got lost, but the student accidentally found the snow toad, barely alive, who was supposedly blown there by a hurricane. He saved her life with a special tonic medicine and then went with her to the mysterious place. Xian asked what happened next. Did he really obtain high-ranking rare items and become the most powerful contractor? Yuan confirmed that after Toad helped find the treasure, she pointed the way to her lost comrades. When the elite-ranked spirit beast absorbed the artifact, it immediately rose to the monarch rank, bypassing the lord rank. Luliang added that this was not a legend, but the pure truth. They originally had 2 sun adventurers, but for unknown reasons, one of them left the snow plains and headed to Cloud Island. Xian thought, so this toad could also make him an adventurer of the sun. He ran to the toad, holding out his hands, asking her not to run away. Xiao noticed that among the items for the Erhu's evolution, there was one interesting space-time crystal that he had not found anything about. He placed his hopes on the toad and tried to jump on it, but he missed. The toad jumped on him, croaking, and Jian found himself lying in the snow. The toad sat right in front of his face and croaked. Jian became alert and looked at it carefully, trying to understand its message. He realized that she wanted to say that someone was following her. Yuan appeared from behind, screaming, warning of danger and calling for the fluffy one to help. Jian turned around and saw a pack of gray wolves. He was shocked by their appearance and realized that they were normal ranked beasts with a 5-star level. The Husky immediately rushed to attack, striking the nearest wolf. The Husky jumped in front of Jian and attacked the wolf with powerful blows. The power of the ice-piercing claws was activated, and the wolf was sent flying. The 3-star Erha had no problem attacking a 5-star beast without even awakening its supreme spirit, Jian noticed. Husky continued to attack. Yuan confirmed that he didn't seem to need help, and Luliang added that this snow wolf was too strong. Sounds of fighting could be heard. The Husky fought with the wolves, and soon they were all down on the ground. Toad croaked nearby. Husky wiped his sweat, and the other wolves were horrified. Jian went up to Husky and praised him, petting him. Husky smiled back. Suddenly, something in the distance lit up and quickly headed towards Husky. He became alert and noticed the shine. Husky jumped at the last moment, dodging, and the ice ball flew past, flying into the distance. Chen asked about the beast in surprise, but immediately thought about it. It was unlikely that it could be a beast that could hit the target so accurately. "It's a little impolite to greet friends like that," Qian said as he watched the 3 figures approach them. Qian noted that usually normal people invite each other for barbecue, but 3 guys were approaching. They reassured him that it was just a greeting and not to take it to heart. In his mind, Qian decided to test the waters. If someone could withstand the ice ring, then it was not worth openly engaging with them. Qian explained that they didn't mean any harm and were just passing by. In his mind, he lamented that he had planned to save Snow Toad as a knight at the last moment to win her affection. But Xian and company had beaten them to it. Qian added that if there are no questions for them, there is no need to disturb them, since they are making snowmen. Qian was surprised, asking if these were secret names for some plan, and noted that they just wanted to take the Snow Toad. Then Jian smiled and suggested asking Toad if she wanted to go with them. Qian thought about the guys. They jumped out right after they dealt with the beast, obviously hiding in a secluded place to look like heroes later. The toad began to croak, and Xian, stretching out his hand to it, calmed it down. He realized that the snow toad had noticed them long ago, and perhaps they themselves had set the beast on it. The boys stood in front of Xian and Husky. Xian turned to his partners. Qian asked if they were going to attack. Qian rebuked them for their shameless behavior. When one of the boys screamed, Qian stopped him, deciding to wait until they had the toad in their hands before fighting back. Qian smiled, pointing at the boys. Yuan noted that they had been tracking Snow Toad for a long time, but did not try to save her. They just sat and waited. Leuven added that their appearance had disrupted the boys' plans, and it would be interesting to see how Xiaitian would behave. They were holding snowballs in their hands. Qian walked up to Toad and extended his hand, trying to attract her. But Toad splashed water on him, forcing him to wipe his face. Xian smiled, noticing that Toad clearly didn't want to go to them. Qian was covered in slime and tried to reach out his hand again, but Xian stopped him, realizing that it was impossible to attack the Toad and force it to go. Xian reproached that instead of repenting, he was being accused. Qian's subordinates advised not to waste time and attack together. They summoned their spirits, the Snow Marten, a normal-ranked beast with 4 stars that had the ability to strangle and the snow bomb skill. The guys were shouting that, having a snow toad in their arsenal, they could instantly level up and quickly advance up the career ladder. They admitted that they might not reach the heights of a sunny adventurer, but at least they would become night adventurers. They added that since the plans had been disrupted, they had every right to get even. At that moment, more spirits appeared. Ice Snake, a normal rank 5-star beast with the abilities Ice Prison, Frosty Path. Ice Liana appeared on the field. It was a normal rank beast, a 4-star beast, with the abilities frosty liana, and sleepy spores. Qian's boyfriend said, as he attacked, that ruining a person's future was the same as killing his parents, and he demanded the return of the snow toad, threatening that otherwise they would be forced to act. Suddenly, the spirits of the boys flashed. Toad got scared and hid behind Husky, who became her protector. The boys were confused, but the toad continued to croak. Husky listened to her attentively. Qian turned to one of the boys, asking if it wasn't they who sent the beasts that chased the snow toad. He was surprised and shouted when he learned that they had been followed all this time. Then he shouted to Erha, saying that there was fresh meat here, and ordered him to act. The husky ran up to Qian, holding the gray wolf's fangs in its mouth. Qian's boys warned, "The snow wolf seems suspicious. Be careful." One of the boys approached Lulian, asking if he had decided to join the fight as well, and if he was afraid of interclan feuding. Lulian asked again about the feud, and noted that as a small group of people, they should not suffer because of the beasts that were set upon them. Yen sighed, reminding them that they hadn't even had time to properly farm points and make snowmen, and Qiang was already rushing into battle with another group. Qiang, confident in his strength, declared that since they were able to set the beasts on fire, they could destroy anyone who stood in their way. He used his power to create a ring of ice. Snow poured down from all directions, rushing towards Qian's face at lightning speed, which greatly surprised him. Qian immediately noted that they were attacked first because of the ambush position. A surprise attack was half the trouble, and the intention to wound him added to the threat. The husky jumped forward and tore apart the huge snow block, which was split into small pieces by him. The situation made the guys laugh, because they did not expect such a reaction, and already understood that without strength, it is impossible to go into the abyss. They demanded to surrender and give the snow toad. Qian noted that the toad had made it clear that it did not want to go with them. Husky stood in front of him. Suddenly, a white mist appeared, from which the attackers emerged. The ice snake changed, and the Chen boys activated their spirits to attack, using Ice Blast and Ice Liana. Husky moved forward, meeting the Ice Blast with his power, and Yuan motioned for Lisu to attack. 3 against 1 didn't seem quite fair. The gnome activated the Blizzard ability and went on the attack. Husky looked around in surprise, trying to spot his opponents in the fog. Xiao smiled, noting that their group also had a master of offensive abilities, hinting at Husky's strength. He guessed that the snow wolf had probably awakened its ability by now. Luliang was lost in thought, and Yuan covered her face with her hand, remembering how everything had been blown away by the snowstorm. One of the guys from Chang's group was also surprised by the snowstorm. It became clear that the offspring of large clans had gathered here. However, the attackers reassured themselves. As soon as the brother activated the path ability, everything would be under their control. Yuan noticed that the ice snake had disappeared the moment the ice spear exploded and pointed at it behind Husky warily. The next moment, the snake used its ice prison ability. The ground under Husky's paws crunched, and ice spikes burst out from under it, covering him from all sides. Husky managed to jump up, but still found himself trapped. Qian joyfully exclaimed that the plan had worked. Xian showed no concern as the icy prison closed around Husky, confident that such a barrier would not be able to contain his beast. Urk's piercing claws had long since evolved into the piercing claw storm. The powerful blow shattered the ice spikes, and Husky broke free. But immediately after that, he suddenly froze, swaying in surprise, as if losing his balance, and almost fell to the ground. Qian watched this calmly, without surprise, and only wondered what had happened to his beast. One of the opponents smugly explained his brother's strategy. First, an ice prison to deprive the enemy of freedom. Then a frosty path turns the ground into a slippery, icy surface, where the spirit beasts become immobile. He already considered the outcome of the battle to be decided and announced that the snow wolf had been defeated, and that it would not be difficult to deal with the rest. Qian calmly noted that the opponents, of course, were great. They awakened their attacking ability, but among them, only Luliano was able to do this. These words made the boys suspicious. It seemed that they were being intimidated. They were sure that the ice wolf was in principle incapable of awakening an attacking force. But Jian laughed sharply and announced, Husky's true ability was Ice Doom, the same legendary technique that once destroyed an entire city. The boys looked at each other in bewilderment and fear. It sounded incredible. They tried to brush off his words, assuring each other that it was a bluff. However, at that very moment, Husky began to glow brightly. An ice snake rushed towards him, but he only barked and brought down fear on him. In fact, it was just a cunning pressure, but the opponents could not withstand it. Fear penetrated to their bones, and they, trembling, grabbed each other in panic. The snake continued to crawl forward slowly, dispersing the frosty steam. Lulian watched what was happening and thought, he will achieve what he so desires. The real picture was much more cunning. The intimidation that made the opponents tremble was not a usual technique. This gift was only found in natural-born patriarchs. In reality, it served as a cover, hiding the true power, the legendary ability Ice Bane. The gnome sat on Husky's head, radiating the power of the moonlight. The light scattered around. Xian watched, a smile crossing his face as he assessed what was happening. The fox rushed to attack the spirits. They flew apart like leaves in the wind. The boy screamed, realizing that this was not an icy death, but simple intimidation. Hypnotic spores began to slowly spread from the vine, filling the air with a strange light. A snake slithered nearby, and a small animal flickered nearby, watching what was happening. Xian realized that his intimidation had no effect on the contracted spirit beast. However, the beast had control ability, which strengthened his presence. Xian noted that the opponent's fighting ability had been greatly reduced, even if the intimidation had not worked. Luliang realized that Xian was able to understand the spirit beast without a contract. He wondered how the snow toad could have appeared here, given its stealth. Xian came to a conclusion about the possible reason for the toad's appearance in this place. Their eyes met. Luliang guessed that there was a valuable treasure nearby. Xian smiled, realizing that the treasure needed to be protected despite the risk of discovery. The spirits of Team Tsenya sat on the floor, exhausted and tired from the strain. Tsen barely escaped the Snow Wolf's intimidation, assessing the danger. The Snow Wolf's intimidation ability was stronger than the Ice Doom. The hypnotic spores helped, but could not completely reduce the effect of his power. The boys realized that their plan had not worked. They had to act with caution. The spores had completely exhausted the spiritual power of the ice vine, making it impossible to use its abilities. The spores are related to psychotropic abilities and temporarily suppress the berserk state of spirits. Due to the intimidation, the fighting ability of the team's spirit beasts has been significantly reduced. The berserker mode remains the last chance to restore strength and resist. The boys realized that this was the only way in the current circumstances. Ice Liana gathered the last of their spiritual power. Hypnotic spores were activated. Liana amplified the spores, affecting everyone around her, creating tension in the air. The animals glowed with radiance and rushed to attack, filling the battlefield with energy. The hypnotic spores caused the spirit beasts to enter a berserk state. Xian was surprised by the strength of the beasts. They couldn't even reach some of the targets. The beasts approached, their eyes glowing red, creating a threat. The husky remained calm, the smile never leaving his face, despite the danger. A gnome and a fox appeared next to Husky, ready to intervene in the attack. The animals almost collided with each other. The tension reached its limit. Suddenly, chunks of ice flew in all directions, and the animals of Tsenya's team fell to the ground. Liana lay lifeless, surrounded by the cold glow of battle. The boys picked up the animals in their arms, checking if everything was okay after the blow. Tsen admitted defeat, realizing that their plan had not worked this time. The war between the teams had been unleashed, and the opponents were going to meet again at the university. The toad stuck out its tongue, as if mocking its opponents. Tsen turned and led the team away, hiding the beasts within himself. Qian chuckled, suggesting that he should think about the toad's resistance and possible reaction. The boys looked at him with irritation, anger, and fatigue mixed together. The boys thought that the contract with the toad would give them a chance to become solar adventurers. Qian warned that the beast's spiritual power was almost exhausted, and the battle was becoming risky. He felt a strange premonition about Luliang's rare beast. Qian was surprised to see that the opponent had not revealed all of his attack abilities. In the end, the opponents left, leaving Qian's team with a snow toad. Qian noted that they had no choice. A contract could only be made with one spirit beast. Their original goal was to save the toad and gain its trust to level up. Under the current circumstances, they had no chance of success. Yuan realized that they couldn't make a contract by petting the toad either. The toad suddenly jumped towards Husky, croaking and showing its intention. Husky lowered his head, and the toad settled on him, ready for the journey. Qian explained that they had found her when she came out of the cave in search of food. The toad continued to croak, and Husky walked in circles around Qian. Everyone was surprised to realize that the toad wanted to take them to a certain place. Qian wondered about the possible treasures that might be waiting for them there. Luolian guessed that the toad wanted to give them the treasure it was guarding as a reward. Qian imagined that it might be the egg of the catastrophe beast. Yan thought about it, trying to estimate the probability of such an event. Luolian thought it was impossible that it was really an egg of a disaster beast, too rare and unique. This beast existed only in a single copy, and no one saw its cub. Luoliang concluded that it was rather an incomparable treasure of the snowy plain, worthy of respect and protection. The team followed Husky, who had a toad on his back, across the snowy plain. Qian tried to stop Erhu from running too fast, but the speed was too fast. Suddenly, a thick fog appeared, obscuring the path and creating a sense of danger. Qian was surprised by the disappearance of the Husky and felt alarmed. He slipped and flew down the slope, screaming. Yuan watched in surprise as Qian fell. Qian landed, taking in the situation and the surrounding landscape. Ahead, he saw Husky and Toad continuing to move through the fog. The place looked mysterious. Qian began to think about the possible treasure. The toad croaked, confirming that there was treasure hidden here, making Qian think. Yuan slid down the slope and crashed into Qian. She wondered who was stopping Qian from dodging and saw this strange place for the first time. The team continued on behind Husky and the toad, moving carefully through the cave. The Husky let out a loud bark as they reached the center of the cave, attracting everyone's attention. In the center, a platform of shining stones rose up, beckoning with its gaze and energy. Qian was surprised to recognize the white stone. Perhaps it was a treasure. Luoliang noticed the crystal and remembered its name, the Crystal of Frost. Qian didn't understand what kind of crystal it was and how valuable it was, wondering. Luolian explained that the freezing crystal held the ability of a dead, powerful beast. A spirit beast that absorbs the crystal will be able to take over the power that the beast possessed when it was alive. Qian guessed that the crystal would awaken the beast's ability when it was broken, almost like an attack ability that could awaken the power of the Seekers, Qian reasoned. Yuani clarified that it was not that simple. The ability was related to the beast's kind, not just the attack. For example, Snow Fox and Ice Marten can awaken the ability of Snowburst. Erha cannot awaken such an ability, which means it will not reach the level of Ruler. The crystal erases the ancestral limitation, allowing the ability to be awakened regardless of the beast. If the crystal contains the Ice Burst ability, Erha will be able to master it. The question remained, how to determine what kind of ability was contained within the crystal. Qian smiled, guessing that the snow toad was guarding the treasure because of the cool ability inside. Yuan remained cautious and unsure of the crystal's power. Luolian took out a detector to check what ability was hidden inside the crystal. Qian was surprised when he watched Luolian's actions and the results of the detector. Luoliang carefully studied the detector readings, assessing the hidden power. It turned out that the ability was not a snow explosion, but its evolutionary version, a snow avalanche. This ability is not offensive, but the destructive power is barely inferior to the ice doom. Qian realized that snow avalanche is a powerful evolutionary ability of snowburst. He offered to give the crystal to Yunyao to awaken the ability. Yuan was surprised as she held the crystal in her hands, appreciating its value and power. She explained that Rong could also awaken the ability. The crystal should not be wasted on it. Yuan suggested giving the crystal to the snow wolf so that he would gain power. Xian asked Luliang if he wanted the crystal, given his snow elf's abilities. Luliang declined, deciding that the crystal was valuable, but he had other artifacts at home. Xian thought, surprised that Luliang and Yuan would refuse such a valuable treasure. He decided to give the crystal to Husky, throwing it right into the beast's mouth. Husky picked up the crystal and began to hold it in his mouth, assessing the energy. Xian was surprised and wondered how to use this ability after absorbing it. Lulian suggested that Husky absorb the crystal with spiritual energy. The stone began to glow as Husky closed his eyes and approached the crystal. Husky began to glow, absorbing the power, the light surrounding the beast. Xian asked how long it would take to absorb the crystal. Lulian noted that the experience of previous spiritual beings helped to estimate the process. It would take about an hour. Yuan suggested taking a rest while Husky absorbed the crystal so that she could continue farming for points. Qian was surprised. Everyone immediately turned their attention to him, assessing the situation. Yuan tried to understand what happened. Xian realized that he should have forced the three to leave them the drops from the beasts. Yuan and Luliang remained confused, trying to comprehend what was happening. Xian understood the meaning of the teacher's words. The danger comes not only from the beasts. If the team was weaker, they would not be able to save points. Xian summed up the current situation and assessed the resources available. Lulian noted that we need to be doubly careful given the danger. Yuan decided that it was worth fighting back against any attempts by the enemy to interfere. The Husky continued to absorb the crystal's energy, the light surrounding the beast. Suddenly the crystal broke into small pieces, completing the process of transferring power. Xian checked the result, assessing the completion of the absorption. Husky sighed heavily, indicating that the process was complete. A message appeared about obtaining the rank of a normal beast with 4 stars. The maximum limit of spiritual power was 450. The crystal added a 4th star. Xian watched the result with interest and assessed Husky's strength. He was eager to try out the new ability and decided to go out and try it right away. Xian stroked Husky, preparing for a test of strength. The 4th star appeared. Yuan watched, assessing what was happening. The toad sat on the floor and began to croak, indicating that it wanted to be near Erha. Zhao smiled as he watched the animals interact, assessing the situation. Luliang reminded that newcomers can only sign a contract with 1 beast. Although Erha was able to reach 4 stars within a week, it is still possible to potentially contract a 2nd beast. Luliang explained that no one has ever been able to overcome this limitation, even in legends. According to ancient scriptures, this law came into being with the introduction of contracts for spirit beasts. Xian thought about the possibility of turning his contract into an application format in the system. There should be free space there. He extended his hand towards the toad, and everything around him began to glow with a golden light. Luliang was surprised, not understanding how this was possible. Yuan was also surprised as she watched what was happening and assessed Xian's strength. Lu advised hiding the toad in a secret place so that no one would know about it. Luliang noted the danger, but Xian said that there were no strangers there. Luliang thought that Xian had surprised everyone again with his action. Xian spoke to the toad in its language. The toad looked at the camera. Xian took a photo of it. The photo displayed the data. Snow toad, ordinary rank beast, 3 stars. The animal's status is listed as excellent condition. The ability and stealth are assessed. The snow toad is recognized as a rare spirit beast with a docile nature. The beast is not afraid of people and has the ability to find treasures. Xian was curious about what the mention of treasure from 8 directions meant. A message came. Treasure from 8 directions chooses one of the 8 directions and goes there. Once the treasure is found, the beast returns to the master and hands it over. Before searching, the toad activates the stealth ability, blending into the environment. This helps avoid enemy attention while traveling. Once the treasure was found, the joy made the toad forget about caution. The toad croaked happily, showing delight and playfulness. Xian ordered the ability Treasure from 8 Sides to be activated. Toad activated stealth again, becoming invisible to prying eyes. Xian noted that the contract seemed to be concluded, but it seemed not. Lulian noted that no one knew about the contract with the 2 beasts. Yuan clarified that the Night Heron wouldn't bring another ability crystal. Husky was surprised, watching the toad's movements with the active ability Stealth. Xian decided that it was time to test Erhe's new ability in practice. Xian smiled as he prepared to experiment with Husky's power. Xian and his team began to exit the cave, moving carefully towards the light. Luliang noticed something strange and attracted the team's attention. Everyone looked around at the entrance, assessing the situation and possible threats. Lulian crouched down, carefully studying the tracks to see who had been here before. Xian was on guard, realizing that the situation could be dangerous. Suddenly, footsteps were heard, breaking the silence and creating tension. A pack of wolves appeared in front of them, surrounding the team from different sides. Luliang noted that they were completely surrounded, aware of the threat. Xian decided that this was the right time to test Erhe's new ability. Yuan assumed that the pack was attracted here by absorbing the energy crystal. Wolves appeared in front of the team. The Black Wolf King was a normal rank beast with 7 stars. There were 3 other black wolves with 4 and 6 stars standing next to it. Xian took the initiative, deciding to defeat the opponents on his own. The aura of pressure from the wolves was not inferior to Scalopendra's power, creating a danger. Xian ordered Erha to use his new ability, Snow Avalanche. Husky immediately charged, activating the crystal's power. The wolf was blinded by the radiance. An avalanche of snow fell on the pack, covering it with a powerful stream of snow. The wolves tried to escape, but were completely buried by the avalanche. The husky got tired and fell to the ground. The animal's spiritual energy reached 0. The Black Wolf King, equal in rank to Scolopendra, was defeated in seconds. Xian was surprised by the speed and effectiveness of the snow avalanche. Yuan screamed, wondering how to dig up the drop from the defeated wolf. Lulian noted that the points from the king would still be significant. Xian realized that despite the power of the ability, Avalanche could not be used constantly. He decided to keep it as a backup trump card for decisive moments. A husky lay exhausted on the ground after using an avalanche. A toad sat nearby, covered in snow, watching the scene. Yuan asked how to dig up the drop now, assessing the situation. Jian suggested that she take a rest, taking on the excavation with Lu Lian. Lian thought that Xian was impudent. The husky became alert and let out a warning bark, attracting the team's attention. More monsters were approaching them, posing a threat. Xian realized that Erha had used up all his spiritual strength and would not be able to help. Yuan decided that the boys would do the excavations and she would deal with the enemies. Lulan said he would help. Xian began to dig up the rewards and asked Husky to help in digging. Xian realized that Erha would also need to be restored and strengthened later. The team coordinated their actions, dividing tasks among themselves to work efficiently. Yuan was surprised by Xian's condition, noticing the huge bruises under his eyes. Lulian also noticed Xian's tiredness, wondering why he hadn't slept enough. In fact, Xian had been using the Skillful Hands ability constantly, increasing Erhe's spiritual energy. He explained that he was tired because Erhe was making noise, so he was not getting enough sleep. Yuan hugged Husky, happy that the beast was in good condition and that the avalanche had earned him a lot of points. Xian thought about it, observing his surroundings and the appearance of new obstacles. He noticed the centipedes appearing in front of the team again. Yuan suggested moving faster to go farming elsewhere. Luliang pointed out that after their beasts' levels were reset, even 7-star beasts were no longer scary. Husky approached the rock climber and began to release a stream of snow onto it, activating an avalanche. Xian asked Luliang how many points they had accumulated so far. Luliang replied that the exact number was unknown. The avalanche was destroying the beasts too quickly. Husky has reused Avalanche several times against different monsters. The buffaloes approached the team, creating a new threat. Husky again approached the opponents, protecting the team. The buffaloes charged. Yuan noticed that there were too many of them, and the Avalanche could not completely cope with them. Lulian noted that the team had gone too deep into the wilderness. Qian responded that it was not his fault, watching the battle unfold. Qian found himself in a burnt forest after finishing a fight with a strong 7-star beast. He was happy about his victory after leveling up the snow boar. The boys sat around him, out of breath, admitting that the beast with 7 stars was hard to defeat. They noted that they had gone too far from the base and that further advance was dangerous. The team calculated that they had already accumulated a lot of drops and points, more than other groups. Chen decided to return tomorrow to evaluate the points and rest. He was sure that Luliang would not be able to score more points than they did in that time. Qian's team looked at the huge bag of rewards, amazed by the amount of loot. Yuan showed a small bag of drops from ordinary ranked top-tier beasts. They decided to borrow a cart from the warriors in Snow Plain to transport the rewards the next day. Later, the teachers were sitting at a table in the square, and the students were gathered nearby. It was announced that the week-long test was over and it was time to sum up the results. The teacher said that they would check the materials and the level of the animals and also count the points. After returning to the university, the students would be able to exchange the points for materials and medicine. The one who accumulated the most points would receive an additional reward. The guys from Tian's team were annoyed, regretting that they had not killed more animals. One of them noted that with a larger number of animals it was possible to score more points. The teacher began to announce the order of handing over the drop by groups. The students were nervous as they waited for the assessment and scores to be tallied. They assumed that Lulian's group had the highest score. The snow wolf in Luliang's group was extremely strong, giving them an advantage. In one group, there were 19 mid-level beasts and many lower-level ones. The final score of the group was 890. The teacher announced the next group, Chang Qian. Qian's group approached, happily assessing their chances of winning. Qian noticed that the other groups had not even scored 1,000 points. They were confident that they would be the best, rejoicing in their success. Qian was surprised to see Luliang with a small bag. Luliang wondered why Qian was surprised to see his loot. The boys thought that Qian seemed to have won the competition. Qian was leaving with his bag. Yuan and Jian headed towards the drop transport cart. Luliang was surprised at their delay, waiting for their return. Qian's group had 32 mid-level beasts, 55 low-level beasts, and 2 high-level beasts. The total score was 5,750, which surprised the students. Qian was so strong that he was able to kill even 2 top-level beasts. The students noted that the only one who could surpass him was Luliang. Qian was pleased with his fame, enjoying the attention and respect of those around him. The teacher announced the next group. Qian. Luliang came up with his bag, ready to hand over the drop. A girl from the crowd wished him luck, encouraging the participant. The bag landed on the table, attracting the teacher's attention. The teacher noted the presence of 5 top-level beasts, evaluating their quality and points. The teacher pointed out that the scores would be lower than the previous group, despite the strength of the animals. Luvian asked to wait a little so that everything could be recorded correctly. Xian and Yuan quickly responded to the voice behind them, following the instructions. They squeezed through with the cart, dragging a huge bag of drops. Loudly announcing his arrival, drawing the attention of everyone around him, Xian shouted cheerfully as the cart with the bag rolled towards the teacher. Qian was confused, not believing that there could be a drop in the bag. The students were surprised, thinking that it was impossible to get so many animals. Qian thought it was probably a fake and doubted the contents. The bag was brought to the teacher. Qian confirmed that it contained resources from animals. The teachers asked to recalculate the points, and Luliang apologized for the inconvenience. Qian and Luliang took the bag off the cart and emptied its contents outside. The teacher was surprised and asked if they had robbed someone. Qian was also surprised when he saw the amount of prey. In addition to the 5 high-ranking beasts, there were many ordinary ones. He wondered how their spirit beasts could act so actively without exhausting their spirit energy. Qian thought, thinking that it might be a scam, but he ruled out this option. He knew Luliang. Such an act is not in his character, and he does not steal resources from other groups. Qian recalled the strength of the Snow Elf and Snow Fox and realized that they could not have gathered so many beasts. This meant that the credit went entirely to Qian. In total, there were 260 low-level beasts, 155 medium-level beasts, and 5 high-level beasts. The final score, according to the teacher, was 23,100. The team managed to score such a huge number of points. Jian admitted that he himself would hardly have been able to achieve such results. The students were amazed to see that the team had scored over 20,000 points. They wondered how they could have killed so many animals without cheating. The students noted that Luliang would not steal points from other groups. Qian was also surprised by the team's result, realizing the scale of their success. The teacher confirmed that if there were no more points, first place would go to this team. According to the rules, another 50% was added to the total and credited to the school accounts. Tian was happy, knowing that everyone would receive more than 10,000 points. Yuan reminded him that Erha's chief assistant would also receive a reward for his contribution to the victory. The team celebrated Erhe's achievement. Lu Lian was happy for Erhe's 10,000 points, predicting that he would reach 5 stars. A girl approached the table, causing alarm among the teacher. She reported that someone had stolen their drop, causing shock to Team Xian. The girl explained that she was attacked, taking all the drops while the group was split up. She assured that no one was hurt except her spirit beast, which was badly injured. The girl apologized for the incident, taking full responsibility. The team checked the details of the attack, finding out what the attackers looked like. The girl remembered their appearance, although she was in tears. Her friend promised to punish the attackers when they returned. The teacher noted that outside the university, danger comes not only from animals, but also from other groups. This situation became an important warning for all participants in the competition. The boys whispered, realizing that the rumors about other groups might be true. They discussed why the school hadn't stopped these situations. Xian suggested that it might be the 3 strange people they had met before. Yuan expressed doubt that this was a coincidence. Lulian noted that the university was probably aware of what was going on. Jian was surprised, remembering that they didn't have many new students. These participants will likely meet again at the rookie qualifying competition. Luliang explained that competitions are held annually among newcomers within the university. The most promising students will represent the school in external competitions. Luliang suggested using the points to level up the spirit beasts to surpass everyone in the qualifiers. The end of the test came, and the bus set off on its way. After the extra 50% were counted, everyone got 11,500 points. 2 days later, Xian walked along the sunny street, watching the notifications. Erhe would soon be able to reach the 5-star level. As Luliang said, points can be exchanged at the school administration for items to level up. The screen displayed Husky's status: Snow Wolf, normal rank, 4 stars, happy mood. Husky's condition was excellent. Abilities included piercing claws, icy breath, and snow avalanche. Also displayed were unknown blessings, a secondary ability, and a carnivorous predator characteristic. On the way, Xian met Qian. Qian hoped that when Erha reached the 5th star, another side ability would be unlocked. Qian looked at the screen and opened his status. Name: Xu Qian. Points 11,500. Qian passed by, remembering that a month ago he only had 1 star. He noticed Qian and realized that he had also come for items. Qian hoped that the spiritual pills would help the snowboar reach the 6 stars. There was a creaking sound in the office, and the manager asked about the purpose of the visit. Qian confirmed that he came to exchange glasses, showing his student ID. The teacher recommended white pills for an ordinary mid-level beast. Qian examined the item screen. White, 100 points. Red, 200. Green, 300. Blue, 400. Black, 500. Qian asked if the black pills were the best. The teacher explained that beginners usually couldn't afford the more expensive pills. Qian was surprised that he could access the mid-range selection. He refused mid-level artifacts and asked for high-level artifacts for 10,000 points. The teacher expressed doubt, but decided to show Qian a high-level artifact shop. He noted that not every tamer would be able to afford the items there. Items with prices appeared on the screen. Real wolf bone marrow, 10,000 points. Energy crystal, 20. Purple pill, 20. Golden pill, 100. True wolf blood, 200. Energy crystal, snow avalanche, 300. Crystal of extreme cold, 500. Xian was surprised by the high price of the snow avalanche energy crystal. Xian asked what the bone marrow of a real wolf was. The teacher explained, "This is bone fluid obtained from a lord-level beast. Bone marrow increases the level of wolves and can increase the maximum amount of spiritual energy." The teacher clarified that there were only a few artifacts left in stock. Xian asked about the blood of a real wolf. The teacher replied that blood was much more effective than bone fluid. Blood is the concentrated spiritual blood of a lord-level beast. It can awaken lost legendary abilities. The teacher noted that beginners should not bother with such artifacts, which are only available to professionals. The teacher noted that in order to accumulate large points, it is necessary to participate in qualifying competitions. Qualifying competitions give a large number of points, he added. Xian smiled, realizing the benefit of participating in the competition. He selected the bone marrow of a real wolf and 3 black pills on the screen. Xian thought he was lucky, because he only needed to win the qualifiers to get everything. He felt like a real ace, planning his next moves. The teacher was surprised to see Xian's 11,550 points on the screen. Xian smiled as he showed the screen, confirming that it was true. The teacher wondered where the newbie got so many points from. Xian noted that Erhe had almost reached level 5. He judged that with the new items, Husky would be able to reach 5 stars. At home, Xian noted that a small test tube was worth 10,000 points. Xian decided to use pills first to enhance the effect of bone marrow. He gave Husky some black pills and he swallowed them. Xian checked whether Husky's rank had increased by petting him. Husky made sounds of satisfaction, confirming the process. A message appeared about Husky's rank being raised to a 5-star normal beast. Husky's ultimate spiritual energy has increased to 620. Shen gave Husky a new vial, hoping to awaken the active side ability. Husky looked at the vial carefully. Xian poured the contents of the vial directly into Husky's mouth. He shouted at Erhe to hold on. In the depths of Husky's mind, he saw the wolf right in front of him. The wolf was very close. Husky immediately rushed to attack. Xian noted that Husky had been in this state for half an hour. Even absorbing the energy crystal had taken less time. A message appeared. Husky's rank has been upgraded to a normal 6-star beast. Husky's ultimate spiritual energy has increased to 800. Xian was surprised and smiled, realizing the level increase. He asked about Husky's new skill. Husky licked Xian, making wuff-wuff sounds. A message appeared. Husky's secondary ability has been activated for night combat. A message about the ability Night Fight has appeared. The snow wolf's eyes have become better adapted to the night environment. When activated, the beast's combat capability is increased. The duration is maintained by the tamer's spiritual power. Husky's side ability finally awakened as an active skill. Xian realized that he no longer had to use Erhe and skillful hands. All that was left was to increase the beast's spiritual energy. Xian remembered that the energy control pavilion could upgrade combat conditions. He decided to go there and test the new ability. Xian noted that after reaching the 6th star, you can choose a more difficult level. The team walked down the steps to the arena of Buyuan University. Xian thought that they were at the arena where the fighting was held. Zhu Qian shouted from ahead, noticing Lu Liang. Xian was surprised that Lu Liang also came to look for the enemy. The guy next to him asked if Lu Liang had come to watch Bao's fight, or to fight again. Lu Liang met the gaze of a Gao Zhenhao, the spirit of fire. Xian noted Lu Liang's surprise as he looked at the boy. Lu Liang noted that his spirit beast is a support, and does not want to participate in battles. Xian whispered in his ear. Luliang explained that the guy named Gao Chenghao was a newcomer and was looking for opponents. Gao smiled, showing confidence. His spirit beast, the little devil, had great strength. The spirit of the little devil is based on fire. When confronted with ice spirits, the devil child usually won many battles. He repeatedly won battles. Gao laughed, knowing that Xian was aware of the situation. He noted that Xian's snow elf would give many a head start in a fight. Lu Liang laughed in response. He noted that Little Devil Gao was not an ordinary person. Little Devil already had 7 stars. Gao suggested swinging his fists, testing his strength. Xiao Ai has a combat mode he has never seen before. Lu Liang explained that it is a secondary ability, ice weaponry. Xiao Ai can only hold the regime for 5 minutes with Lu Liang's spiritual energy. After using the ice weapon ability, Xiao Ai remains in a weak state for a long time. Lu Liang usually does not use this ability because of its side effects. Lu Liang said that the ability can only be shown on the battlefield. Gao came back and suggested fighting Lu Liang. He hugged Lu Liang and Xian, inviting them to a duel. Xiao thought that he had never fought a tamer one-on-one, and this was a rare opportunity. Xiao proposed to exchange knowledge in battle. Gao agreed, to Xiao's surprise. Xian stood in front of Gao. Their eyes met. Gao thought that Xian was serious about fighting Snow Wolf. He decided to restrain the power of his devil child. Too strong of a blow is unacceptable, Gao reminded the demon. Xian noted that they were being underestimated again. The opponent was a 7-star beast that wielded the fire spirit. Xian realized that he would have to work hard in this fight. Husky is fully prepared for battle. Ice stakes flew into the attack. The little demon rushed forward, dodging with masterly speed. Husky used ice breath. The demon concentrated, activating fire focus. Flames appeared everywhere. Xian shouted at Erhe to dodge, noticing the flying turtles moving at a furious speed. Husky dodged the flames, using his ice breath to put out the flames. The little demon activated his powers. Fire turtles appeared from his hands. They rushed to attack Husky. Husky was surprised by their sudden attack. Husky noticed the approaching monsters. He activated the power, and the turtles spun around in a circle. Husky's true awakening was used. The little devil activated his power, and a firebull appeared behind him. The firebull charged, blazing with fire. Husky charged with all his might. Xian noted that Husky was not yet perfect, and the fruit-eating predator would not recover its energy. Cedar reminded Husky of restraint and the lesson with the ice snake. The Husky ran forward, fire surrounding everything around him. He headed straight for the fire beast. The little demon activated his powers, and a fire dog appeared in front of Husky. The Husky touched the dog with his paw and felt pain. The paw began to burn. He began to whine in pain and blow on the injured paw. Husky glared at Little Devil. Little Devil was horrified when Husky jumped and knocked him to the floor. The flames began to die down. The water suddenly extinguished the fire. Husky approached the devil, ready for the next move. The little devil activated the devil division, creating multiple material bodies. Each body had half the fighting power of the original. The combat capabilities of the original body would disappear upon receiving a certain amount of damage. Husky and Jian watched the separation with surprise. The little devil raised his hand to control his power. Jian noticed that the enemy could not fly, but was watching from above. Bao looked at the copies of the little devil in the air and assessed Husky's level. He admitted that Snow Wolf was a worthy opponent. The Husky ran between the copies of the little devil, growling and looking around. Suddenly, he activated the power of Snow Avalanche. Bao was shocked. Snow Avalanche is only available to Lord-level beasts. He thought that the only way to resist the avalanche was the fire giant. The little devil can transform into a fire giant, dealing damage to those around him. An avalanche of snow rushed straight towards the little devil, who became confused and froze. Suddenly, a teacher appeared in front of Husky, blocking his way. He stopped the fight, reminding him that the qualifying rounds were still ahead. The man explained that the arena must be used carefully. Otherwise, the damage will have to be compensated for by ourselves. The teacher noticed that the snow wolf actually had the power of snow avalanche. Jian held Husky close to him, demonstrating the end of the fight. The teacher made it clear that the use of destructive abilities was prohibited before the competition and warned of possible liability for damages. Bao walked over and noted Husky's level. He was surprised to learn that the wolf had reached the 6th star. He was assessing how dangerous his snow avalanche ability could be to normal opponents, including fire giant Bao. Lu Liang thought about the upcoming qualifiers, hoping that they would be able to compete with such an opponent at the competition. Xian looked at Husky and noted that its level was clearly different from ordinary spiritual beasts. Realizing that further progress required specialized training, he decided to move on to more challenging levels. The girl was initially surprised to hear about the advanced level of training, but after learning about Husky's 6th star, she allowed him to go to the next room. The manager in the training hall recognized Xian by his voice and was surprised that the newcomer immediately chose the higher difficulty level. Xian confirmed that his and Husky's goal is to win the title of champion in the novice competition. The girl and the manager noted the unusual speed of the snow wolf's development. Just half a month ago, he had only 1 star, and now he had reached the 6th level, which was significantly faster than the normal growth rate, even for spiritual protectors. Xian took the access card, and the door to Advanced Training Room 3105 opened. The manager gave permission, and Xian entered the training room. Even though it had only been a few days since the last level increase, the situation looked extremely serious. The room was completely enveloped in fog, creating an atmosphere of unpredictability and tension. In front of Jan and Husky stood monsters, normal-level ice tyrannosaurs with 9 stars. Their imposing appearance and intimidating aura immediately made it clear that the advanced training really lives up to its name. Xian felt a surge of determination, realizing that a difficult test lay ahead, requiring maximum concentration and coordinated actions with Husky. The eyes of the ice tyrannosaurs glowed with a magical light, foreshadowing danger. Husky was wary, but Xian assessed the situation and prepared. The tyrannosaurs moved forward slowly, their movements radiating power. Husky activated red magical energy and quickly went on the attack, and Xian activated the ability Night Fight. By enhancing its combat capabilities and increasing its reaction accuracy in foggy conditions, the snow avalanche came down with icy fury, covering the tyrannosaurs in snow and slowing their movements. At this time, the manager contacted the master, informing him that Shu Qian had begun advanced training. The gentleman promised to come, but the manager noted that Xian had already finished the fight. After the first wave of attacks ended, Xian walked out the door. Xiao was amazed by the intensity of the training at the advanced level. The message on the screen confirmed the achievement. The ordinary rank beast had reached the 7th star. The ultimate spiritual energy had increased to 900. The manager looked at the screen carefully. There were 188 virtual animals left. Although Husky was unable to penetrate the ice T-Rex's hide, he did manage to destroy more than 10 of the creatures, which impressed the manager. A new system task has been added. Increase the number of Snow Wolf stars to 9 to unlock the Snow Toad's special ability. The Golden Touch will allow the artifacts that Toad brings to evolve. Xian was thinking about how to reach 9 stars for Erha, and was surprised by the leader's sudden remark, who stated that Xian had failed the training in the process. The leader thought about it, realizing that doing such a training was truly a difficult test. Completing a more challenging training session after a month and a half of training is an almost impossible task. Xian asked how the manager knew about his training. The manager explained that he heard about the difficult level and came to see for himself. He asked how many tyrannosaurs he had managed to kill. Xian laughed and said that he had defeated 12, noting that the path from the 7th to the 9th star still required serious work and effort. Xian thought about it and remembered that the manager had mentioned the possibility of providing resources for Erhe's evolution or leveling up. The head noted that even 7-star masters would hardly be able to undergo such training. Xian asked for materials to level up, recalling the previous agreement. The head clarified that the use of these materials will increase the level. But then, for evolution, one will have to independently seek out ways and solutions. Qian was confident in Erhe's abilities and expected that leveling up would allow him to undergo advanced training. The leader agreed to provide materials for the evolution of the snow wolf, deciding to closely monitor its progress. He specified the limit of spiritual energy, which was 900, which was significantly higher than the maximum of ordinary beasts of the common rank, which was usually limited to 800. The leader suggested that either the wolf had special techniques for developing spiritual energy, or fate was favorable to him. The leader explained the history of the previous protector in detail. 10 years ago, she possessed a beast with fire magic that had 8 stars. At first, her beast was full of hope, but she couldn't get through the advanced training. She spent a whole week in the training room. On the 7th day, the beast reached the 9th star, and its spiritual energy increased to 1,200. Only then was she able to successfully complete the training. And since then, no one has repeated this achievement. The head noted that if Xian can surpass this record, he will be given a special gift. Xian, hearing this, smiled and agreed, realizing that there was serious work ahead. Xian sat down on the couch with Husky, watching the crystal carefully. Nearby lay the materials for the evolution of beasts with snow and fire magic, provided by the manager. He thought that the extreme cold crystal he had received for points at school was only half the amount needed, and its cost, according to calculations, was about 25,000 points. With Husky's ability to absorb quickly, Qian was confident that the beast would be able to surpass 9 stars by using all the resources it had to advance in rank. Realizing that such an evolutionary cost was justified for the sake of awakening Snow Toad's Golden Touch ability, he handed over the crystal to Husky. The wolf took the diamond into his mouth, breaking it into small pieces, and the energy began to be absorbed quickly, surprising Xian with its speed. The Husky glowed with a bright golden light, attracting Xian's attention. A message appeared on the screen. The snow wolf has reached the rank of a 9-star ordinary beast, and its spiritual energy has been fully restored to 1,300. The frost breath ability has evolved into frost mist, which cuts to the bone, restricts vision, and slows movement. Xian watched the updates on the screen with a smile, realizing that Husky now had the ability to control the battlefield. The snow wolf exhaled, signaling the completion of the task. The goal of increasing the number of stars to 9 has been completed, and Snow Toad's special ability, Golden Touch, has been successfully unlocked. Xian saw on the screen that Snow Toad was very close, behind the door. A new quest has been added to unlock the Eye of True Sight ability for the Snow Wolf. To do this, you need to go through the first level of evolution and advanced training. The Eye of True Sight will allow one to see basic information about spirit beasts and objects. Xian opened the door and saw Quaqua on the street. The toad was holding a strange object in its paws, which seemed unusual and unique to Xian, even in comparison with the artifacts in the school store. He noted that the toad came under a spiritual contract, returning with this item. Xian watched her with curiosity, trying to understand what exactly Quaqua had brought and what value it could have for the evolution of Husky. Xian looked closely at the object in his hands, feeling its unusual energy. He realized that it was impossible to figure this out without the advice of an experienced person, so he decided to turn to the manager, who has long observed spiritual beasts and artifacts. At the same moment, the manager, sitting in his office, received a call from Zuqian and saw his message with a photo. Zuqian was interested in the origin and purpose of the strange object, relying on the leader's experience and knowledge. The leader was shocked. In front of him was a rare evolutionary artifact for beasts with fire magic, a flower made of magma. Much rarer than even half the extreme cold crystal he had given to Xian earlier, he wondered where Xian could have gotten such an item. The manager clarified that this magma flower is a real legend. It grows near the mouth of a volcano and is formed after the petrification of rocks. Hidden within it is a devastating fire magic capable of strengthening fire elemental spirit beasts and opening up new paths for their evolution. But for his snow wolf, it is not very effective. Xian thought about the leader's words. Xian thought about it. He realized that the resource was needed for the evolution of the fire element. Deciding to use the golden touch, he closed his eyes and concentrated. The toad also closed its eyes. The flower began to glow with a golden glow. The leader, sitting in his office, thought about what he would do with the evolutionary resource for the fire beast. When a spirit beast reaches the 9th star of each rank, the tamer can trigger evolution through a contract, and only then will the beast advance to the next rank. Resources for evolution are different and directly affect the development of the spiritual beast. Normal rank slime, extreme cold crystal, ice slime, normal rank slime, magma flower, fire slime. The quality of the resource affects not only the success of evolution, but also its outcome. This only applies to animals with the ability to choose the path of evolution. The snow wolf, being an ancient snow animal, has only one icy path of evolution. It cannot be said that no one tried to go against nature, but such daredevils doomed themselves to failure, and the spiritual beasts received serious injuries and even died. Snow wolf, crystal of extreme cold, equals enhancement. Snow wolf, flower of magma, equals death. The leader thought about it. Xiantian, a naughty boy, was clearly going to feed the snow wolf a magma flower for the sake of fire evolution. He thought about it. There should be his address written down in the training hall. It won't let him act so rashly, the chief thought. Meanwhile, Xian used the golden touch in his room. It returned the flower to its original form. But this is a resource for fire evolution, Xian thought. Jumping from one path of evolution to another is, of course, dangerous. But if Erha couldn't do it, the system wouldn't have given such a task. Xian moved the flower towards Husky and began to absorb its energy through the contract, focusing on the spirit. A fiery flower lit up the room and began to float in the air, a golden glow spreading everywhere. Head rushed into the room, surprised by the state of Snow Wolf. Once upon a time, Zuopu said that some animals can choose different paths of evolution. Transitional evolution. Snow Wolf's evolution has been completed. Spiritual energy has reached 1,700 out of 1,700. A new fire-type secondary ability has been announced. Fire Vortex hits enemies with an absorption power, allowing them to be swallowed. This helped awaken the active side ability. Xian looked at the leader. The manager uncle was here by chance. Snow Wolf managed to evolve thanks to the magma flower. Kavakva hid in the spiritual space. Erha awakened the fireside ability. Xian thought that he couldn't tell the leader that Erha had absorbed the magma flower in its original state. The leader closed his eyes and thought about the fact that evolution had occurred, but the beast could not rise to the next rank. Xian reported that Erha was stuck on the 9th star and wanted to return to the training hall to hone his skills with the Ice Tyrannosaurus. Xian hugged Husky, determined to set new records. The leader laughed, expressing anticipation for their next meeting. The door closed, and the leader left. The toad appeared in the room and made its croaking sounds. Xian noted that he had sent Quaqua into the spiritual space in time. To prevent the leader from finding out about the contract with the two spirit beasts, the toad sat on his head and continued to croak. Later, she approached the door in search of resources to increase her evolution level. Xian hugged her, enjoying the moment after using the skillful hand ability. A few days later, the advanced training began. Xian stood in front of the T-Rexes in the training room with Husky nearby. This time they had prepared in advance, and the fire ability should have penetrated their skin. The leader was thinking about what item could be useful to Xian if he won first place. The Tyrannosaurs advanced, their eyes glowing red. Xian activated Night Battle, and Husky used Ice Mist to hide their presence and went on the attack. The Tyrannosaurs came close. Husky rushed at one in ice armor, throwing it aside. Xian used a fire whirlwind. The flames swirled around the Tyrannosaurs. The spiritual energy reflected the standard of the spiritual beast's combat power. Judging from Snow Wolf Jutian's combat strength, his spiritual energy had exceeded the 1,500 mark, which was greater than that of a 1-star Lord rank beast. The fiery flames swirled around the training room, causing the tyrannosaurs to flee from the force of the fire, their bodies beginning to disintegrate. The subordinate was surprised by the snow wolf's appearance of a fire ability, and the leader reminded him of the transitional evolution. The subordinate clarified that transitional evolution allows snow beasts to gain the abilities of fire beasts. The head confirmed this, while simultaneously making a remark about his illiteracy. A message appeared. The remaining number of virtual animals is 162. The time is 24 minutes 11 seconds. Qian noticed that the ability consumed a lot of spiritual energy. He continued to use the fire whirlwind. The tyrannosaurs advanced, but gradually dissolved under its power. Qian and Husky left the room after training. The ranking showed first place. Qian, 57 minutes 33 seconds. Second place. Zuowaizia, 1 hour 27 minutes 23 seconds. The leader was amazed and thought that if Xian participated in the qualifiers, perhaps his dream, which he had cherished for 10 years, would come true. He believed that Xian would definitely cope. Xian smiled. The leader noted that the snow wolf would soon reach the elite rank, and Xian would become an apprentice, and they needed to think about which beast to make the next contract with. Xian was amazed at the possibility of obtaining a rare beast, but the leader explained that the rare beast was not related to the contract and prepared a gift for him. Once Xian becomes an apprentice, he can come to the training hall and pick it up. Xian thought that the manager knew how to intrigue and was determined to complete the task. Xian glanced at the screen. A message appeared indicating the completion of the quest, Evolution of the Snow Wolf. The advanced training was successful. The Eye of True Sight ability is unlocked, allowing one to see basic information about spirit beasts and items. A message appeared. Snow Wolf, Spiritual Energy, 1,700 out of 1,700. Jian thought that now he could immediately see the information about Erhe. The students were shocked. The ranking of winners who completed the advanced training was updated. They wondered how they could have missed the news that Xia Qian had started advanced training. In the results table, Xia Qian, first place, 57 minutes, 33 seconds. Zuo, second place, 1 hour, 27 minutes, 23 seconds. The guys were amazed at the speed of achievement, and the girl said that next time she would do better. 10 days later, the qualifying competition for newcomers began, held at the university arena. Yuan explained that they needed to defend their ground and defeat all opponents in order to move on to the competition in Cloud Valley. Yuan mentioned that she had heard about his first-place ranking in the advanced training. Qian explained that he had received the first-place award, and Erhe leveled up and reached Star 9. Yuan was surprised, noting that Xian used the evolution material to level up. Xian explained that Quaqua brought a flower from the magma, and as a result, Erhe did evolve. Yuan noted that the magma flower was a rare fire-type resource, and it could be dangerous for Erhe. Xian petted Husky and noted that he was fine, and that the evolution had been successful. Moreover, Erhe could now use fire. Suddenly, Gao appeared. No one dared to step forward, and the training ground seemed to belong to him. Jingao was indeed impressive in his strength, and his fire devil looked too powerful against the snow beasts, the students thought. No one was going to teach him a lesson. Gao noticed Xian and smiled, looking forward to the upcoming fight. Xian was surprised that his first opponent was Gao. They had been interrupted last time, but now there was nothing to stop the fight. The students were surprised that Xian was going to go against Gao Jinhao. They thought it was bravery and were afraid that Snow Wolf would not be able to match Fire Devil. Gao noted that his bow had reached the 9th star and was also ready to fight the Snow Wolf. Messages appeared. Normal ranked Devil. Spiritual Energy, 900 out of 900. Xian decided to act quickly and clearly, commanding Erhe to use Fire Whirlwind. The fire flashes surprised Gao, who did not expect the Snow Wolf to have a fire ability. The little devil roared, fire against fire. The fire giant began to burn the devil. Gao was surprised to see how the devil was simply burning. Erhe's fire ability shocked Yuan, and the students were shocked. The fire wave even reached the audience. The fire spread everywhere. Zhao held the burnt deviling and noted that the alien fire had overcome him. The students couldn't believe their eyes. Snow Wolf used fire and crushed the fire spirit beast with its own element. Qian confirmed that this was his fire ability, but its power was enormous. A voice nearby laughed at the weak strength of the opponents. Yuan and Xiao were surprised. The girl with her spirit accused the guys next to her of hiding, stealing other people's glasses, and still calling themselves tamers. The guy with his spirit noted that the snowy plain was not a university, but a place where the law of the wild was in effect, and there was no point in complaining. They only took the glasses, and were lucky that they didn't meet any fanatics or poachers who wouldn't care as long as they survived. The girl asked how they differed from fanatics. The guy replied that if her pet had been even half as strong as its owner's bold words, she would not have found herself in such a situation. He commanded the snow leopard to attack, and the girl's spirit was defeated. The girl tried to return the beast to the spiritual space, but the guy laughed, saying that it was too late to take care of his beast. Yuan, angry, realized that it was her classmate's beast, and decided to show him where the crayfish hibernate. Thanks to her resources, Junjun reached the 9th star, and Yuan was determined to teach her opponent a lesson. Xian decided to deal with the enemy together with Erhe. Yuan wondered if Erhe had enough spiritual energy. Xian noted that there was no need to worry. His beast had already reached the elite rank with 1 star. Spiritual energy 1,300 out of 1,300. The boy's spirit beast began to attack the girl, but suddenly Husky appeared. Snow Wolf was surprised, and the girl held her defeated spirit. Xian clarified that he has the right to be on this testing site. The guy noticed with a grin that this was another one of her classmates and warned her not to underestimate him. He took only a few points and commanded Ice Leopard to finish the fight. The guys standing nearby offered to help teach the opponents a lesson if they stopped fighting altogether. The boy turned around, and Husky remained behind, shining with a fiery light. Ice Leopard was shocked. The guy didn't see what was happening on the battlefield and thought he could handle it himself. The Husky was ablaze with fire, and the boy noticed that the beast of the common rank with 9 stars was radiating power stronger than his Ice Leopard. The students screamed in horror that this was not a spiritual beast, but a real monster. The guy thought that Jian was stronger than the girl, but still not up to his level. Xian noted that people like him only attack the weak and do not dare to fight the strong. Ice Leopard activated ice armor. Elite rank beast, 1 star, spiritual energy 1,200 out of 1,200. The girl understood why she couldn't touch him. Qian smiled. The ice armor was familiar to him. He was glad that there was still spiritual energy left. The leopard charged, opening his mouth, but Husky used fire whirlwind. The leopard was shocked. Fire appeared everywhere, and the armor began to melt. The boy thought that he wouldn't believe that a normal rank beast could burn away elite rank armor. Qian noted his complacency. Gao was surprised that Qian's fire could even destroy his bow. Yuan guessed that this was Erhe's side ability. The intensity of the normal rank 9-star fire whirlwind was stronger than the ability of the fire giant bow. Gao confirmed that only a side ability could provide such power. The boy was shocked that a normal rank beast's ability defeated his ice leopard, and realized that Xian had put most of his strength into the attack. He ordered Ice Leopard to attack, so as not to embarrass himself further. The guy who appeared said that he would deal with the Snow Wolf himself, and his spirit, a clay beast, 1 star, spiritual energy 1,400 out of 1,400, was nearby. The clay monster charged at Xian and Husky, and Xian wondered if the Snow Wolf could stand up to his beast when fire was no longer useful. Xian noted the size of his opponent and his potential speed in combat. An icy fog filled the arena, limiting visibility, and ice appeared on the golem's hand. The boy was surprised that the fog slowed down his clay beast, which used the power of the quagmire, and Husky began to get stuck in the mud. Xian regretted that it was not night. Otherwise, he could activate the night battle and protect himself. Qian thought about his spiritual energy. It was only enough for 1 more fire whirlwind. The guy used clay wave against Xian, surprising the students. Chiang's boar had already reached the 8th star, and the students were wondering who he would fight this time. Qian declared that he would fight Zutian, who had not yet revealed himself. Everyone was shocked to see that Snow Wolf was using fire. Husky climbed up the clay road straight to the golem, and Xian and Erha showed their skill, firing the clay like bricks. The enemy was surprised. Xian had already fought with Gao Jinhai and had put a lot of fighting ability into his wolf's spiritual energy, which had not yet been exhausted. Xian explained that it was a secondary fire ability, and Erha recovered some of her energy with carnivorous predator. Ding 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 came the sound of the cursed bell, and Erha missed, which made Xian a little annoyed. The guy used a bell. His beast was elite rank, 1 star, spiritual energy 1,500, and Xian and Husky were surprised. The ringing of the bell causes addiction and hallucinations in the spirit animals, putting them under control. Yuan was outraged and shouted that attacking from behind in the qualifying competition was unacceptable and tried to help. Xian noticed that Erha might have succumbed to a psychological ability. Xian allowed Erha to act freely. The husky barked and went on the attack, activating his ability. The observers were surprised that the beast evolved during the battle, and Yuan was amazed the wolf had previously been ready to evolve but had held back. The teacher was also surprised and thoughtful. There are reports of Snow Wolf. Elite rank, 1 star, spiritual energy 2,700. Abilities: Ice Mist, Variability, Piercing Claws, Snow Avalanche, Intimidation. Secondary abilities: Fire Whirlwind, Carnivorous Predator, Night Battle. New abilities: Wolf Dance. Xian realized that he had become an apprentice. A congratulation message appeared. The title of apprentice was received, and the ability of artificial hands was strengthened. The husky stood ominously in front of the golem as the bell continued to ring. The enemy tried to use the ringing to restrain the wolf until it awakened all of its elite rank abilities. Xian noted that Erha had already awakened all of her abilities. He commanded Husky to use Intimidate. The radiance illuminated the arena with a blue light. The bell rang with all its might, and the opponent watched in horror as the bell fell. Husky used Snow Avalanche. The opponents were horrified and wondered what kind of ability was in front of them. Suddenly, a bright flash erupted, and snow fell on them. The opponents were shocked. They thought that this power was due to Xian defeating many beasts and earning many points. Qian realized that he was already inferior to him in strength in the qualifiers. The fiery whirlwinds swirled in the air and only touched the guys with a wave of attack, but it felt like they were hit by a truck. Gao realized that even his Bao's fire giant and his defenses would not be able to withstand such power. Yuan was glad that those bullies who stole her classmates' glasses got what they deserved. The opponents were amazed at how Xian fought so many enemies without getting out of breath. They noticed that he not only had a fire ability, but also a snow avalanche, and doubted that he was just a snow wolf. They decided to attack him together, believing that the 3 of them could defeat him. The teacher came up and said that they had already lost and were being punished for their actions, reminding them that the university was aware of their actions. Xian noted that they had asked for it. The boys thought that after fighting 3 1-star apprentices, he had no spiritual energy left and planned to attack again. Gao admitted that Xian's power was so terrifying that no one would want to compete with him. Yuan smiled and noted that Xian could very well be the preliminary winner of the qualifiers. Gao agreed that it was possible. The teacher reminded that according to the rules, beginners can only fight 1-on-1, and violators will be punished. Xian noted with a smile that no one wanted to fight him, but he and Husky looked confident. The losers thought about how to deal with him, but the students did not dare to challenge him, fearing punishment. They realized that Xian had already used up his fireside ability, and the snow wolf still had snow avalanche. Xian wondered why no one wanted to fight him, even though everyone had their own side abilities. Team Qian was disappointed and decided not to make a fuss, leaving Snow Wolf alone. They thought about how to leave the arena as quickly as possible. The teacher announced that if no one else entered the arena, The title of Arena Master would be given to Xian. The students were confused. Xian invited Yuan to come with him to the training hall, but she refused, deciding to train on her own to become an Arena Master. Xian thought about becoming an apprentice and wondering what gift awaits him, and also about the fact that the artificial hands have become more effective and are worth testing. The guy called Xian and led him into the office, noting that the kid had not let him down. In the office, the chief asked if he had won the preliminaries, and Xian confirmed that he had, thanks to Erhe's side-fire ability, which caught everyone off guard. The leader noted that this was the Snow Wolf's first fire ability and congratulated Xian on his victory. Xian revealed that Erha had evolved to elite rank during the battle. The leader reminded that apprentices could make a contract with 2 spirit beasts, and Xian confirmed that he knew about it. Xian wondered if the manager knew about his contract with Quaqua. After the last time, Quaqua often went outside. After becoming an apprentice, Xian received 2 more windows for spiritual beasts. The leader asked if he had heard of beasts with technical intelligence. Xiao asked if it was possible to make contracts with mechanical beasts. The leader explained that such creatures existed in the places of spiritual stars. They are derived from mechanisms, but contain elements of beasts, so contracts can be made with them. It was previously believed that such beasts were created to serve humans. As long as the difference in spiritual energy is not too great, the contract will not be rejected. Even if you refuse the contract, there will be no side effects, Xian clarified, which means that contracts can be concluded and terminated indiscriminately with such beasts. The head confirmed that this was possible, since the mechanism had no soul. Xian noted that this was too imbalanced, to which the head replied that such beasts had their drawbacks, not just their advantages. If Erhe has 1,000 spiritual energy, then when he levels up, it will increase to 10,000. The robot has spiritual energy of 1,000, but when the level increases, it will remain unchanged, 1,000. Their spiritual energy and rank do not change except when merging with other mechanical beasts. They cannot be upgraded in the usual ways. The leader gave Xiao mechanical gloves in honor of his new rank. He explained that there was no need to forcefully choose them as the second beast, but as long as Xiao had no contender, the mechanical beast was the best choice. When a more suitable beast is found, the contract can be terminated and the gloves can be used as desired. Xiao carefully examined the gloves in the box and, after putting them on, felt that he could make a contract with this beast at any time. A message appeared about protective gloves A. Elite level, 7 stars, maximum spiritual energy, 7,777. The gloves create a protective field that absorbs damage equal to spiritual power and disappear after a breakthrough or an hour. The leader offered Xian to make a contract with them. The gloves glowed without resistance, and Xian smiled. The glow surrounded him, and he commanded to activate the protective field A. Erha uses piercing claws against him to test the function. Erhe started shaking his head, not understanding what they wanted from him. Xian reassured him that he would not harm him. The leader watched the events unfold. Husky rushed to attack, and Xian activated the protective shield of the gloves. He noted that the gloves take a long time to recover, and wondered if it would be possible to use artificial hands on them, since he now wears them on his hands. After becoming an apprentice, Xian became much stronger. His spiritual energy exceeded 1,000. He commanded, Artificial Hands, Level A Protective Glove, Master Level, 7 stars, cannot be upgraded. Maximum spiritual energy is 7,877, 500 spiritual energy absorbed by the owner. The glove creates a protective field A, capable of absorbing damage equal to spiritual power. The field disappears after a breakthrough or an hour after activation. Recovery time is 24 hours. Xian was delighted and thanked the manager for the gift, noting that it was cool, beautiful, and useful. The head agreed, but warned not to use the abilities in the office. Xian smiled and looked at the gloves, thinking that the artificial hands could really raise the level of the mechanical beast. Elite level 7-star protective gloves cannot be increased. This has been cancelled. The leader said that mechanical beasts couldn't level up, But Xian noticed that the artificial hands were able to increase the spiritual power of the protective gloves, so it was possible. He thought that maybe later he would find a way to evolve them. Sitting on the sofa, with the ability Artificial Hands upgraded, Xian noted that his spiritual energy was 1,000, and he would be able to increase the gloves by another 200 spiritual power. There are messages about the user Sui Qian, status proofreader, rank apprentice. The contract with the spiritual beasts includes the snow wolf, snow toad, and the A protection gloves. The spiritual energy is 1,000 out of 1,000. Abilities include beast taste, artificial arms, opportune moment, and rapid absorption of true beast's eye. Time noted that part of the spiritual power needed to be left for secondary abilities, and the energy could not be used as before. Xian thought that with these devices, it would be much safer to fight outside the university. He noted that Erha would be able to fully concentrate on the battle without being distracted. Qian remembered that once he reached the level of a professional tamer, he could use the abilities and side abilities of the beasts. This was the true battle of a tamer. After some time at the school, the teacher approached Xian, asking if it was he who had been able to protect his training ground. Xian confirmed that it was he. The teacher said that points had been awarded for winning the qualifiers, which could be used at their discretion. Xian had a message. Points plus 50,000. Voices were heard outside. Yuan shouted, waving her hand, and Luliang was standing next to her. Xian was surprised that they were here too. Luliang noted Xian's merits. He taught the tamers a lesson, without leaving spiritual strength. Luliang explained that they defeated opponents even with ordinary rank beasts. Yuan added that their beasts were able to evolve to the elite rank. Gao laughed, noting that he quickly lost to him, and it did not affect his bow, while he continued to defend his position. Xian was surprised. People nearby were whispering that in front of them was the same Xian who had recently completed advanced training and taken first place in the ranking. The students discussed how they had seen him fighting 3 opponents at once a couple of days ago, and now they realized that it was really him. The students ran to Xian, asking him to take them on a mission and take care of them in other lands. Xian was surprised that they would go to other lands. The teacher appeared from behind and confirmed this, and explained that a total of 10 people would be sent along with other newcomers from the 6 universities in the Snow Plain territory. Gao asked what should be done for this, and the teacher replied that it was necessary to focus on increasing combat capability, since the local beasts were not suitable for other territory. He added that, according to tradition, there will be a competition between universities, and the winning team will receive large prizes. Luoliang asked the teacher what the competition was about. The teacher explained that the outer perimeter was for the Dark Spiders, elite rank, 1 to 3 stars. On the middle one are the Dark Cats, elite rank, 4 to 6 stars. On the inner one are the Flowers, elite rank, 7 to 9 stars. They chose the territory that had not yet been fully explored. In other lands, they will go to an underground tomb with 3 floors. The deeper, the stronger the beasts. These beasts are different from the surface beasts, and defeating them brings crystals. The crystals of the upper floor beasts are colorless, and the deeper the beasts, the darker the color of the crystal. The student's task is to collect as many high-level crystals as possible. He added that upon entering the dungeon, everyone will be scattered around the area. A message about a new task appeared. After descending into the tomb, you need to find the flower's peculiarity. Completing the quest will unlock the ability and special binding of the protective gloves, allowing you to transfer the protective field to your spirit beasts. Xian was surprised by the special task of revealing the secret of other lands. He thought that he would gladly cope with it, but now he felt too weak. The teacher reminded them that they were all newcomers with the rank of apprentice and should understand the danger of the competition. He said that in 2 days he would lead them to other lands himself. 2 days later, the participants gathered at the square. Yuan wondered why there was no car, and Luliang reminded them that the teacher had said he would lead them himself. The teacher asked if everyone was there and ordered them to move aside, clarifying that they would not be getting there by transport. The students were surprised and wondered what could be on the helicopter, but immediately decided that it was most likely an animal with the ability to fly. Suddenly, a B-23 type aircraft carrier with a maximum spiritual energy of 99,999 appeared. Xian exclaimed, "Wow, cool!" and wondered if he could evolve his protective gloves to such a level. The teacher invited the students to board the aircraft carrier, explaining that it would take them to other lands in 10 minutes. The students were excited and thought about the animals with technical intelligence. They wondered if they would return on the same ship. The aircraft carrier took off. The journey began, and soon it landed among the rocks. The students began to get out. The students began to feel unwell. Yuan began to choke. Xian noted dizziness, and Gao vomited. The teacher explained that this is a feature of the area and depends on each person's body. He added that the duration of stay here is 5 days, so the tests organized by the 7 universities will last 3 days, after which the participants will be taken back to school. The students were given signaling devices. In case of danger, the teachers would help, but they would lose the right to continue the competition. The teacher explained that in these lands, material energy is depleted very quickly, and with a long stay, absent-mindedness appears, even to the point of madness. At this time, the teacher was surprised to see the students of Lingxiang University. A man approached the group. Old Zhang noted that the apprentice-ranked newcomers had arrived early and looked strong. He mentioned rumors about a madman who had broken Zuo's record and expressed a desire to meet him. The teacher noticed that Old Man Wang was not doing well and warned against making a premature introduction until the Snow Plain disciples had completed the test. Xian thought that the teacher did not ask for his consent. Xian thought about it, agreeing with the teacher. Despite the danger of the place, he was determined to become the winner of the test. The teacher reminded that the rest of the students had already been sent to the tomb on schedule and let Xian go along with Husky. Holograms of the other participants appeared around, but Xian was alone. A guy appeared nearby, introducing himself as Wang Kang, with a will-o'-the-wisp beast of elite rank with 1 star. He asked for care and shook Xian's hand, which Xian reciprocated. Wang Kang directed the will-o'-the-wisp to light the way ahead. He introduced it to Xian and explained that the beast would help them navigate in the dark. They moved forward when spiders began to appear around them, their eyes glowing red in the dark. Wang Kang warned that the space was saturated with the aura of beasts, and it was extremely difficult to navigate. Xian and Wang Kang entered into battle with the spiders. Xian activated Night Battle, preparing to use his beast's full capabilities in the dark. Wang Kang stood frozen in shock at Xian's power amidst the many slain spiders. Transparent crystals covered the ground, left behind by the death of each spider, like glowing traces. Red eyes flashed in the shadows. The 2-star elite darkness spiders with poisonous webs approached menacingly. Spiritual energy, 200. Wang Kang was stunned as the spider appeared nearby, ready to attack suddenly and fatally. Husky intervened, cutting the spider into pieces, leaving behind only flying fragments. Xian approached the center, sensing the danger of the area, every shadow threatening a sudden attack. The other spiders surrounded them, increasing the tension and readiness for any attack. Wang Kang assessed the situation, the spiders carefully moving among the shadows and abandoned crystals. Spiritual energy reached 3,400. Their murderous gaze threatened to attack instantly. Xian sped up, realizing that he needed to overtake the other groups and take advantage of the second floor. Wang Kang picked up the magic balls, controlling his actions and trusting Su Tian's advice. Frequent forks in the dungeon's labyrinth indicated that they were approaching the second floor. But caution was important. Even apprentices of the sub-apprentice rank could face the beasts of the second floor with dignity if they had the right strategy. The main rule remained, do not go up to the third floor to avoid mortal danger. Xian and Wang Kang froze, listening to a strange sound that was different from the rustling of spiders. A will-o'-the-wisp flickered nearby, illuminating the darkness and revealing strange shapes ahead. Suddenly, a fiery flash rang out, illuminating the entire corridor, creating an unsettling atmosphere. They prepared for a surprise attack, estimating that there was a more dangerous beast ahead. Xian and Wang Kang stopped when Gao and Lu Liang suddenly appeared from around the corner ahead. A complex labyrinth of a cave with purple flowers surrounded them on all sides, making their way difficult. Lu Liang smiled as he explained that being cautious allowed them to quickly advance to the second floor. Gao remained alert, watching every move, prepared for any unexpected danger. Xian assesses the situation. The road to the depths of the second floor seems narrow and winding. Wang Kang kept the will-o'-the-wisp at the ready, illuminating the dark corners and approaches of the cave. Everyone understood that moving to the next level would require caution and teamwork. Gao ordered Bao to split up to scout out where the beasts were hiding. The demon activated the Devil's Division ability, ready to help in case of danger. Xian noted the usefulness of this ability and directed Erhu to learn the next fire technique. Bao returned frightened. Gao was surprised to see how quickly Xian translated Bao's words about the approaching crowd of shadow cats. The students screamed, amazed that they had attracted the attention of a whole crowd of cats, and regretted going up to the second floor. There were signs of movement ahead. Someone was clearly moving through the maze. The students screamed as they ran. It was necessary to direct the shadow cats at the others. Xian looked at the flock of cats in surprise. The shadow cat stood out. Elite rank, 4 stars. Spiritual energy, 4,200. Her abilities included a high-frequency roar and a vicious strike. The pack of shadow cats advanced, their eyes glittering in the darkness. Xian assessed the situation. A dead end ahead, 100 cats behind. The students panicked. Gao and Lulian stopped, watching the approaching threat. Xian stopped resolutely, preparing to act against the advancing cats. The ice awakening froze a portion of the space in front of them, forming an ice barrier. Fire giant Gao flared up, preparing to hold back the advancing pack of cats. The cats were approaching quickly, their claws and eyes flashing in the darkness. The students attacked, but their efforts were barely enough to slow down the elite shadow cats. Lu Liang coordinated the actions, assessing who could handle the ice defense. An avalanche of snow covered the flock of cats, bringing down a blanket of snow on their enemies. The snowstorm tripled in strength, pushing the remaining cats back. The surface was covered with snow, making it extremely difficult for the enemy to move. Snowwolf rose to the 3rd star. Spiritual energy reached 4,800. Luliang was amazed at the rapid growth of Wolf's strength after numerous battles with beasts. The darkness around them was filled with blue eyes, glittering in the ceiling of the cave. The meowing grew louder, resonating through the walls, foreshadowing danger. They stirred up the nest. The creatures had a talent, a high-quality roar. The resonance hit the cave, the earth shook and began to crack. A collapse could happen at any moment. Xian and Husky fell into the gap that formed in the floor, losing their footing and falling down along with Xun Qian. They fell into the water, which worked to their advantage. It was deep enough, and the increase in level reduced their damage. Xian peered into the darkness of the cave, feeling the powerful energy emanating from the elite-rank devil buds. Every movement of the flashlight cast long shadows, creating the illusion of many creatures around. Even Erha might not be able to handle this power, Xian warned himself. The cave was clearly man-made. The perfect cutting lines and strange structures betrayed its alien origin. Xian moved slowly, carefully examining every corner, and Husky followed close behind, growling warily and scanning the space. Suddenly he became afraid and ran for cover. Every sound here echoed off the walls, increasing the sense of danger. Xin understood that the task was related to these devilish buds, and caution was the key to success now. Xian felt a sharp flow of energy coming from the statues, although they did not move. The red eyes of the buds glowed anxiously, as if they were trying to penetrate his mind. The husky hissed tensely, feeling an unusual pressure coming from the stone forms. The aura of these statues was so powerful that Xian felt a chill run down his back, and his breathing quickened. It seems that the stone buds were not just statues, but contained a hidden power that could influence the living. Bao began to slowly split into fiery pieces, each of which rushed in different directions of the cave, tracking down Xian and Husky. Wang Kang, next to him, activated his will-o'-the-wisp ability, which glided smoothly between the stone columns, illuminating the dark corners. Zhao held the timid student by the scruff of the neck, threatening to punish him. But everyone understood that the real threat was hidden in the darkness, not between them. Each of the spirit beasts encountered the invisible threat of elite-level devil buds, which instantly neutralized their attempts to descend. Wang Kang spoke with alarm about the death of the will-o'-the-wisp in the depths, and Gao confirmed the death of Bao while trying to enter the cave. The students realized that there was no other way out. Loliang said that they needed to gather more children, find the entrance, and go down together. Xiaoxian helped everyone get down to the second floor safely. No one could stay away when someone was in trouble. One of the students admitted that he was partly to blame and was ready to go with the others, knowing the risks. He noted that falling from such a height was dangerous and doubted that anyone would survive. Gao was angry at him and his long tongue. Xin in the cave was alerted by a strange sound. He shone a flashlight, trying to see the source. Suddenly, one of the lianas attacked Xiao, but he reacted in time, activating a protective shield, and Liana's attack was reflected. Husky was on guard, and Jian was thrown back, assessing the situation. The gloves given to him by the manager saved him from significant damage. The vines slowly moved forward, and in front of them stood an elite-ranked devil bud, 7 stars, spiritual energy 7,100, with dangerous abilities, scorching sun, plant control, and wild flora. Xian assessed the situation. The 7-star devil bud was not susceptible to easy attacks. He activated Night Battle and Wolf Dance, putting Erhu on full alert. Erhi's protective shield and icy breath, which had evolved into icy fog, held back the attack. The devil bud growled, the wild flora activated, and Husky charged, ready to fight. Xian activated the fire whirlwinds, using a fire ability effective against plants. Kavakva brought resources that greatly helped in the fight. Bud growled and attacked, but his instinctive fear of fire prevented him from resisting. The fire whirlwind and the side ability consumed a lot of spiritual energy, so Xian knew that he couldn't use them repeatedly for now. Bud raised his massive arms towards the ceiling, and the stone walls of the cave shook. His energy surged, activating his ability. Wild fauna. A grinding sound was heard from the ceiling and walls. Vines began to crawl out rapidly, engulfed in blue and red fire. Each vine shone as if alive, blazing, but many were immediately charred by Xian's fiery whirlwind. Xian watched carefully. He noticed that the bud had clearly expended a lot of spiritual energy to block the fire attack, as if trying to protect something important behind it. His gaze focused on the massive stone statue standing behind the buds. Xian realized that all the plant's aggression was directed at protecting this statue. He commanded Husky to dodge the blades of the vines and attack the stone statue. The Husky, ready for battle, immediately rushed forward, jumping between the collapsing vines. Xian watched, trying to verify his guess. The Husky quickly broke through the dense network of vines, each of which tried to stop him. The piercing claws cut through the plant barriers, sparks flew in all directions. He moved precisely and quickly, each jump calculated to avoid being caught in Boughton's fire attack. Xian watched every move and analyzed the situation. Bud's limited maneuverability and his focused defense of the statue gave him a chance to win. Xian ordered Erha to attack the stone statue with all his might. The dog instantly activated the wolf dance, his body spinning in a whirlwind of power and fire. Xian added a command, "Activate the fire whirlwind, then cover yourself with ice fog for protection." Husky followed the order. The fire flared up in a bright flash, illuminating the entire cave, and an icy fog instantly enveloped the fighters, creating a barrier between them and the protective vines. Xian watched the results of the battle. Snow Wolf reached the 4th star. Spiritual energy rose to 5,900. And the ability Piercing Claws has been transformed into a new one, Wolf Soul. Now, Erha can summon the spirit of the wolf with Shadow Claws in battle, increasing attacks and speed. Erhi's level increase made Jian wonder. Perhaps she was using herself as a shield to protect the stone statue. Xian assessed the situation, realizing how strong their teamwork had become and how valuable their selfless defense of the flower had been. Xian looked closely at the burnt bud. He realized that the devil bud chose to fight to the end rather than hide in cover. Taking the crystal from the inner floor in his hands, Xian thought about the connection between the statues and the buds. If each bud protects a specific statue, then once you find the statue, you can immediately determine the location of the corresponding bud. This significantly saves energy and speeds up the task. Xian thought about a special task, to unravel the unique feature of the devil's buds. Xian noticed a new enemy approaching, a devil bud elite rank 7 stars. He roared, preparing to attack. Xian already understood how to deal with such a beast, and attacked first. A fierce fight ensued, sparks and fire flying all around. Meanwhile, on the top floor, Gao commanded his demon, perplexed. There were too many beasts, and Bao's usual flame was ineffective against them. Luliang added that their beasts are not snow beasts, so the snow song ability will not help increase their stats. Wang Kang noted with alarm that staying here would only make it more difficult to find the entrance to the inner floor. The longer they stayed, the higher the chance of being discovered. The student added that they had gone too deep and were afraid that they would not be able to get out themselves. He assumed that Shu had long since completed his test. Gao got angry and said that someone like Xian would hardly interrupt his tests. He reminded that Xian was able to rise from a normal 1-star rank to a 3-star elite. The student was surprised that he was the one who broke Seo's record. Weiqiao Wangkang explained that Suqian started with 1 star, but on the outer floor, he single-handedly defeated hundreds of spiders. Below, Xian was blocking the fire attack with his shield. Bud was completely engulfed in flames. His vines were ablaze. Erha used the new ability Wolf Soul under Xian's command. Husky quickly attacked using Wolf Soul. Bud was caught off guard and received a strong blow. A flash burst nearby, hit the wall, causing cracks. Bud let out a scream and growled in pain. A red glow engulfed the entire space. Erhe rushed forward. Xian held the shield. A golden flash erupted. Scorching Sun was activated. Beams of golden light scattered across the cave. The blast wave threw Husky into the distance. A roar echoed along the walls. The students listened. The sound was coming from below. Although their gaze was drawn upward, they assessed the situation with caution. The rumble from the inner floor was a signal that the devilish bud statues could self-explode at the slightest damage. He held Husky tightly in his arms to protect him from any accidental impact or explosion, and ordered Erhe to act carefully, not to hit the statues. The Husky tensed, sensing danger, his icy breath and wolf dance ready. Every step inside the cave was thought out. Xian understood that one wrong move could cause a chain reaction, and he carefully watched the position of each devil bud statue around. Xian received another crystal. The explosion did not attract more beasts. Erhe could fight 1-on-1. Suddenly, there was a roar. Another bud appeared in front of Xian. They must have come for the explosion. Another bud ran after him. Xian started to run away. The buds surrounded them. 3 devil buds approached at the same time. Elite rank, 7 to 8 stars, spiritual energy from 7,100 to 8,500. They tightly surrounded Xian and Husky. Xian raised his protective shield, preparing to attack. Husky stood nearby, looking at the opponents tensely. The buds began to move forward. The vines moved. Flames and energy emanated from their bodies, creating a sense of imminent danger. Xian concentrated, assessing the distance and weak points of each opponent. The shield held the blows. Husky prepared to counterattack. Husky activated his snow ability. A whirlwind of ice and snow rose around him. The buds were attacked by a wave of snow. Their movement slowed down. The scorching sun of the buds directed fiery rays, reflecting off the snow. Xian hid behind a rock, assessing the situation. He noticed that the buds were trying not to touch the stone statues. The tension was growing. Every maneuver was calculated. Xian realized that the secret of the devil buds was related to the statues. Husky was preparing for a new attack. Xian was planning a counterattack. The fiery flashes enveloped the cave. The buds roared, preparing to attack. The rapid absorption effect allowed Xian to instantly obtain 6 stars. Snowwolf reached the 5th star of the elite rank, then the 6th. The system issued new messages about the increase in level and the acquired abilities. Husky stood nearby, ready for the next maneuver, and Xian assessed the strength of the opponents and the battle strategy. The students froze, hearing screams from the inner floors. Spheres of fire sparkled in the air, reflecting off the stone walls, illuminating the cave. A message appeared. Leader of the Devil Buds. Lord rank. 1 star. The Devil Bud leader's eyes glowed a bright red. He coughed, and thick, dark energy burst out from his mouth, filling the cave. The students in the cave froze. Someone is raging inside. The commotion is growing. The walls are shaking. The teacher tensed, remembering the legendary student with destructive power. Xian and Husky fell to the floor, feeling the power of the beast. Others were walking around. Without the protective gloves and the mastered strategy of Erhi, they would not have been able to cope with such a large number of enemies. Snowwolf had reached the 6th star of the elite rank. His spiritual energy had risen to 11,700. The passive skills, Plate-Eating Predator and Night Battle, have increased combat stamina. Xian was pleased that the strategy had worked, with Husky and the protective gloves helping to maintain the defense. The entire area was completely cleared of animals, leaving behind crystals of spiritual energy. Xian walked around the area, collecting crystals after the shaking stopped. The earthquake had left a lot of destruction. The bags were overflowing, and he regretted not taking more. Lulian noticed movement. Gao was surprised by the strange phenomena underground. The students hesitated, afraid to go deeper, but Wang Kong pointed out a possible entrance to the inner floor. The guys looked around the place carefully. It really did look like an entrance. Luliang noticed that the number of shadow cats had decreased, making it easier to move forward. He realized that they had to go further down and go inside. Luliang warned the boys about the possible attack of the beasts of the inner floor. Gao added that they must attack together, otherwise victory will not be achieved. The students were amazed at the stone statues, not understanding how the animals could be motionless. The sounds were coming from somewhere ahead. Everyone was ready for battle. Luliang decided to use his icy consciousness to block the way. Xian, with a backpack full of buffs, noticed the guys and waved to them. Husky was nearby, ready to attack. Luliang was surprised to recognize Xian. The students looked in amazement at the whole bag of black crystals, amazed by the purity of their hue. They discussed whether Xian had stumbled upon a nest of devil buds and marveled at the quantity of what he had found. Xian explained that he had found a way for even low-level, master-ranked tamers to defeat the buds. Suddenly, one of the buds appeared from behind, growled and attacked with its vines. The vines were behind Xian. Luliang shouted for everyone to retreat. The students were amazed. The bud controlled many vines from a distance. Xian noticed that it was not at all like ordinary buds. Suddenly, the bud screamed, marking Xian as its target. A message appeared about the leader of the Devil Buds. Rank Lord, 1 star. Spiritual energy, 11,000. Xian was surprised to see the Lord rank and shouted to run. The students were in a panic. The teachers heard an unusual sound and received a signal about the location, the inner floor of the tomb. The girl decided to go with them, fearing for the students. I hope it wasn't his students asking for help, the teacher thought. The tomb burst into flames, engulfing the area. Xian commanded to approach the statues to attack. Gao accelerated the team's advance. Snowwolf's wolf dance activated. Erha rushed towards the statue, striking. Luliang noticed that the bud was protecting a statue, and Xian gave the order to attack all the statues. The little devil rushed into battle, using a firebomb and wooden spikes. Xian noted that even a Lord-rank beast would not be able to protect all the statues at once. Bud advanced. Husky attacked with full force. Suddenly a golden flash erupted, illuminating everything around. The explosion shook everything around. Jian screamed, warning of the impending danger. The students began to retreat, running away from the potential explosion of the Lord-ranked beast. Teacher Chang appeared in time, activating the shield, protecting everyone. The explosion thundered, the beast self-destructed. Gao smiled, noting that Xian had managed to provoke the explosion. A golden glow shone in Xian's hands. The teacher was surprised, observing the number of crystals collected. The teacher praised him, reminding him that he had to leave. The place would soon collapse. He contacted the Snow Plain warriors for evacuation. Everything around shook. Yuan was surprised, not understanding what was happening. An earthquake or an explosion. The teacher screamed, ordering the students to evacuate. The walls cracked. Stones fell down. The eyes of the Bhutan sculpture glowed, adding to the sense of impending danger. The teacher frowned into the distance, deciding that it was urgent to warn the troops of the Snow Plain. Having investigated the tomb, they found no threats. The destruction was carried out by newcomers. A message from the teacher interrupts the test, leaving the students confused and bewildered. Yuan feels annoyed. The beasts have not yet been found, and the test time has already stopped. Thoughts are confused. What is happening around, and who is capable of changing the usual course of events? There is a tense anticipation outside the cave. All eyes are turned to where Jian should appear. A man appears, his footsteps causing the students to freeze in surprise. The night guards step forward, ready to rescue the students trapped inside. Yuan leaves the disciples under their protection and looks towards the darkness. The teacher emerges from the inner floor, leading the students to the surface. He leaves to find the others, his silhouette disappearing into the dark corridors. The order sounds firm to obey Xian. His power must protect everyone on the floor. The teacher thinks about protecting the students and the coming threat. Xian bows his head and moves forward with the others. Bud's eyes flash red, and he lets out a low growl. Other buds appear nearby, their aura pressing on the space. One bud sits on the throne, his gaze cold and commanding. His orders are to destroy the invaders and save the princess. The warriors carry the students out of the cave, hurrying away from the darkness. Chen looks around in confusion, trying to understand what is going on. Even the animals flee, running in panic along the rocky paths. Shu-ai senses the aura, her heart tightening with anticipation. Lulian notices a cold trace of fear emanating from the depths. Gao realizes that a monster has awakened, and its powers cannot be ignored. The party rushes forward. Xian silently realizes that the ancient evil has indeed awakened. Qian frowns, the thought of the living statues flashing through his mind. The chilling aura makes it clear. These are not ordinary stone sculptures. The devilish buds guarded them for a reason. The secret is revealed too late. Under the stone shell, ancient beasts had been hiding all this time. Even a lord-ranked beast had fallen to stop them from awakening. These creatures are undoubtedly superior to him in strength and power. Jian understands that with his current abilities, it is impossible to defeat them. A task flashes on the screen. Investigate the Devil's Bud's peculiarity. The system reports. Task completed. New ability unlocked. Xian realizes this is the true specialty of the Devil Bud. The statues turn out to be the real bosses of this tomb. Their awakening causes fury. The air shakes with force. Suddenly, a collapse begins. Thick smoke envelops the corridors. Red eyes pierce the darkness, striking fear into hearts. Jian understands. An unknown and terrible clash lies ahead. The beast General Thorn, Lord of the Five Stars, approaches them. Its 57,400 spiritual energy presses down like a mountain above their heads. A warrior appears ahead, her steps confident and determined. She orders a halt and takes the fight upon herself. The students whisper in amazement. It's the Night Guard. Even Jian is amazed. Before him is a warrior of a special unit. The spirit of the demonic ox, Lord of the Seven Stars, rises in full force. Its 76,800 spiritual energy presses upon the space like a storm. The power of the demon bull awakens. The air vibrates with power. The guardian charges forward, her movements precise and polished. She is a professional-level tamer, harnessing the power of the beast. Xian watches in amazement as she deflects the Lord's blows. In front of him is a spiritual beast of inhuman appearance, full of rage. Bud activates the power of the thorn prison. Vines burst from the ground, green vines entwining Bud. Sharp scythes of vines flare up and fall upon the enemy. The guard accepts the fight, entrusting the students to the ox spirit beast. The ox moves in response, leading the students away from the battlefield. Suddenly, a rock falls from above, threatening to crush the warrior. But the Night Watcher catches the boulder with one hand, demonstrating her power. She reports, "There is a crowd of beasts below, and the guards and teachers are fighting them. The test is considered complete. Now, we need to save ourselves." An explosion rings out, a roaring sound reverberating through the halls of the tomb. The students flee in panic, leaving the battlefield behind. These creatures are clearly from the deepest depths. The alarm has not yet subsided. The guard checks the list of names, planning to find the rest of the students. Lulian asks to thank the other night guards for their help. Jian bows, expressing gratitude to the night guard for saving him. Xuan appears from behind, surprised by Xiaoxian's long absence. She was worried, thinking that he might have died in the tomb. Lulian notices that Xian returned in time to save the situation. Xian approaches Yunyao, talking about the backpack with the beast crystals. The girl expresses concern. It was not worth risking her life for the sake of the loot. Yuan opens her backpack and notices the crystals. She is surprised by the number of crystals and asks how many devil buds were defeated. Xian shows the rainbow stone obtained from the final boss in the inner floor. The stone was of Lord rank, which amazes Yuan and makes her admire her. A voice from above announces, "The test is over, but the rewards will still be distributed." The teacher explains, "The crystals of each student and school will be counted for the rating." Yuan watches thoughtfully as Gao demands a count of the Snow Plain disciples' Qian crystals. Qian is surprised, and the teacher tries to understand who they are talking about. As the teacher approaches the backpack, she notices high-ranking crystals. She is amazed, realizing the value of the loot.